what's happening, everybody? Welcome in. Happy Monday, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague here, Portland Sports Leader, 105.1 FM, The Fan, 1080 AM. The Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning. How was the weekend, Jason Swigard?
It was a long weekend.
It was a long weekend.
There was a lot going on.
What's happening this weekend?
Including some 3-hour bus rides.
Yeah, you picked a hell of a weekend to have a late delayed Saturday night. And then it reminded me of something. So, first off, no Sprague today. He's out. He's taking the day off, hanging out with his kiddos. So just
yes.
Dirt and Swag edition on a Monday.
We'll see if they end up going to the zoo.
Well, yeah. When he texted that last week, because you asked him, you doing anything fun? You know, he said the kids had a random day off. He wanted to spend it with them. And you said, are you doing anything fun? And he said, yeah, I think we're going to go to the zoo. And I remember looking at the weather like a couple hours earlier, like, you sure about that? You sure? Is that really what you're going to do? Because I needed a boat to get in today, and I'm not going to complain because the weather's been outstanding. And it looks like we got more sunshine in the aftermath.
The week.
Dude, things should be totally fine. So I'm not going to complain about a couple days of rain. Lord knows we need it come this summer. But it might end up being one of those, like, you know what, we're going to hang out inside. We had that with the kid yesterday where it's like, what are we going to do? It's just dumping all day.
I can see them ending up at a movie theater.
Movie theater is a great thing to do today. I'd almost go like double feature. Why not? It's going to rain literally all day.
Take the kids to see, I don't know if there's Zootopia 2
Yeah, go Zootopia 2, grab some popcorn, maybe a little snack.
I don't know what else is out right now that's,
Dude, there's something else out that you can go see.
Teenage girl friendly.
Yeah, exactly. They'll go find something. So no Sprague today. I do have to admit, before we get to the long weekend and, everything that went into it, you had a moment this weekend that reminded me of a moment that Sprague had, which was hilarious. I'll explain that in a moment. You could tell the people your story. I got to admit to you. Now, usually when you get a solo show, it's like, all right, fine. Take the day off, whatever. 4 hours, we'll get through it. It'll be all right. It's not quite the same, but, it's okay.
No,
This is a rare one where I'm like.
This is your wheelhouse.
I'm
my
so
wheelhouse,
psyched.
too.
I am so psyched that Sprague's not here today because, look, I know that he eventually got in and he was texting yesterday during the gold medal game. And at the end of last week, I think we had slowly swept him up in American hockey fever. But it's not his cup of tea. It's not his thing. And usually when Sprague's out, I'll try and corkscrew or we'll try and, throw a hockey or a golf segment in there and people will roll their eyes like, oh, God, here we go. This is one of the rare examples where you can't even do that.
We get a cut loose.
It's the biggest thing in the sports world right now, what happened yesterday morning. And so I'm living the dream today, and I can't wait for this show. So it was a long weekend. You were up in Seattle on Saturday night?
Yes, so both the pilot men and women were at Seattle University Saturday.
So we got a double dip game.
Now, if we could have had a normal doubleheader, it would have been fantastic.
Would have been fine.
It was a day-night doubleheader.
Because that's
the
awesome.
Women played at 1. The men played at 7.
Was there any reason for that?
None that was readily available
nothing else was happening
my comprehension.
In the arena between games.
No. And this wasn't, we weren't at Climate Pledge.
No.
We were, so the Red Hawk Center, the official seating
where the Seattle
is 999.
Ooh, that's tiny.
It's smaller than high school gym.
Yeah, that might be smaller than Cleveland High School gym. I'm pretty sure we could pack 1,100 in there if we need to.
Probably actually seats about 850.
Catch the fever.
So, yeah. So, I go up Friday afterwards, but they said, Swag can do 2 games, so we'll spring for a hotel room.
Hey, you get a nice, hey, look at that. Here we go.
Get a little return on our investment.
Swag hanging out.
Is that all we're out? We're all we're not out another plane ticket.
Nah, we're fine.
We're not staying 2 nights.
He just needs a bed.
The
That's
bus
all he
is
needs.
already paid for.
We got food on the team, we're fine.
Exactly.
Just give the guy a bed, he'll be okay. That's all he needs.
Exactly. So the women they had to grind one out against Seattle U. And it was more difficult than it should have been. And then the men, we had just as we're starting to get some healthy dudes back, the practice before we leave, one of them gets dinged up.
Perfect timing.
Flailing elbow across the bridge of his nose.
Perfect timing.
So there's protocol, so he's out.
He's out.
So we came out, couldn't hit a damn thing, fall behind, 13. Come back, get it all the way back, tied finally, but they had spent so much energy getting back, and then Seattle U just went nuts.
Tanks empty in front of 48 people. How many people were there? What was the attendance?
Well, it was senior night for the men. So it
the
was
men
full.
will be a decent,
It was standing room only.
Yeah, parents in town, all that stuff.
Everything was going on.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we're done. 9:30, 9:45. The post game's wrapped up. Everybody said hi to whoever.
And now we got a
And
long
so now we
bus
load the
ride
bus.
home.
I will give the bus driver credit.
He hauled ass, got you back at a good time.
Fortunately, not a lot of traffic at that time in Seattle.
You're cruising through I-5.
So they're right off the freeway, right up there
Yep.
on, I don't know if it's First Hill or Capitol Hill, but just east of downtown.
Easy access to the highway.
Boom.
Yeah.
So I was in my bed at just after 1 a.m.
Okay. Did any part of you contemplate, do I just carry this all the way through? Because I did not know at the time. When we got off the air on Friday, we were going into the semifinal game, which I knew USA was going to. Sweden was their harder game, and they got through it in the quarterfinals, and that felt like a formality. Just go win the game, and they did.
They should have taken care of Slovakia.
At the time, I thought, and I don't know if you did, maybe it was known. I thought the game was going to be 12-10 on Sunday. And then they changed.
I knew it was earlier.
Okay, because I didn't know.
Because they're doing the closing ceremonies, but I thought it was going to be live
a little bit later.
Pacific, sometime around 8 or 9 o'clock.
Which is totally manageable. And then Friday afternoon, I'm sitting around like, wait a minute, you're telling me I got to set my alarm for 5 a.m. on Sunday?
Nope. There was I knew I needed to sleep.
Yeah, you got to catch up on
Because if I did that, tried to pull some all-nighter.
Your Sunday's cooked.
No.
Yeah, your Sunday's completely cooked.
I was going to be a wreck for you today.
So I was reminded of, because the game starts, I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll get into it, because there's
and we do this every once. British Open.
Yeah, there's a handful of sporting events a year that get you up and the alarm sets, and you're like, I'm going to go watch it, right? And this is clearly the Ryder Cup when it's over in Europe for me.
Europe,
like,
I got
certain things that you're willing to sacrifice a couple of hours is ease for. And that was certainly one for me. And we were texting yesterday. Sprague and I were going back and forth. To his credit, he was watching the game. He was up. Now,
we know he was up.
To be fair to him,
was at Arnie's.
There's a part of me. Now, we can check with him tomorrow on this. His soccer team played a game against whoever Harris roots for. I don't know. I'm not watching European soccer.
Arsenal, Nottingham Forest.
Okay, so they had a game at 6 a.m. Because I remember they talked about it Friday in the office, how they were both getting up early on Sunday to watch. Now, Sprague's text didn't start rolling in until 6, because I think I sent an all-caps text at some point in the 5 a.m. hour, and it went unresponded to.
Yes.
And then he got back at 6:15 or so and was like, hey, pretty good game so far. And I'm like, all right, at least I got one of you. I assumed that you were still sleeping.
Yes.
And it reminded me, now, again, to be fair to Sprague, I think he was up for soccer and then realized, like, oh, look at that, hockey's on. People are like, all right, maybe we'll double screen this thing, and I'm going to watch both of them. It reminded me of the day that famously Damian Lillard finally demanded a trade out of Portland.
Oh.
And I was on a golf trip to Southern Oregon, and I woke up hungover to texts from buddies of like, I think that's where.
Oh, that's wrong. It's Liverpool.
Oh, that's who they're playing. Okay,
Nottingham
Liverpool.
Forest.
That's who was playing.
Arsenal kicked the crap out of my Spurs.
And I'm hungover at a golf trip, and I get this.
Bad news, Dirk.
I get that from buddies, and I'm like, all right, what the hell happened? What's going on? So we get the bad news. And Sprague, famously that morning the Dame demanded a trade, he decided to not set an alarm and just like, I'm catching up on sleep. I don't care. And he slept till like 11 o'clock, and I thought he was dead because it broke early in the morning that he demanded a trade, and Sprague didn't respond to it. I was up at like 7 for a tea time. He didn't respond for like 4 hours. I'm like, is he alive? Is somebody get a welfare check on this guy? And so yesterday, the gold medal game's going on, and I'm noticing that there's no response from Jason Swigart. And then it dawns on me that that's right. I think he had a late night last night, and so he's probably still sleeping in. And then you had maybe the worst thing happen to you, because you're one where I'm okay recording certain things and knowing the outcome of them. Like, there's certain games throughout the year where you're just, you have something going on, you can't watch it live, somebody spoils it for you, whatever. I'm still going to go back and watch. I'd imagine this one for you was one that you wanted to fly blindly into.
I got woken up. Dusty called me.
Oh, God, what happened yesterday?
So we had a little thing going on. Well, we had split duck things. So we had women's basketball and baseball going on the same time. So one of them,
you got to figure all this out.
So there was just a little minor snafu, and he's like, "Sorry, but this." And I was like, "Okay, let me get up. I'll fix it. I know what to do. Not a big deal. Nothing big, but it was an inconvenience." And so we're trying to help the young guys out.
Right.
Got up on a Sunday to come in and run the board. No problem. So then I'm sitting there, and I asked, she'd been up for a little while. I go, hey, I'm going to watch. And I saw then everything else, and I saw you guys like
texts. Yeah, there's a bunch of texts from people.
Oh.
Don't read.
I said, okay.
I'll check it later once I get through the game.
Exactly.
Let's stay blind
And so
here.
then I asked her, I said, hey, I'm going to, go watch the game. Do you want to watch this? And she's like, well, because her head sometimes. And
yeah.
It's like, well, maybe a little bit. I don't know. And she's like, but the U.S. won, so. And it was just not. I was like, oh, thanks. And she's like, what? I was like,
You
she's like,
just told
I
me the
assume
outcome of
because
the game.
you already know everything, and
Yeah.
you'll tape stuff and you'll watch stuff that happened 3 days ago. I was like, they just played it while I was asleep. That's her problem, is she has no idea when stuff actually is live
when
anymore.
It was, she maybe thought it was last night, or she
Played
didn't
on
know it was
Saturday
on at
while
5
I was-
a.m.
exactly.
Yeah, it was at 5 o'clock last night, and you already know the outcome.
Yeah,
and
it
now
was
you're just
during
going
the
back.
it was
Right.
during the Pilots game.
Couldn't
and so,
avoid the outcome. No, the game just ended 45 minutes ago.
And then she felt really bad. I was like, no,
it's all right.
Sorry, I didn't want to make you feel bad, but so. I mean, I still watched it.
You
it
still
was a
watch
great
it,
game,
yes.
but yeah, there was a little
It changes
bit.
it a little bit when you
There
know
was
the
a
outcome.
little bit of that edge that I didn't have.
That third period pucker when it was like
the
nothing
end of the
but
second,
yes.
The second period and the long change when they seemingly were down there. Hellebuck was amazing. They kill off the 5-on-3, but.
Yeah. All of that would have hit a little bit differently, not knowing that they won the game.
Oh, my God, are we going to get this again?
Because they scored early, and then it was like, hold on to your butts, everybody.
Baldy made an unbelievable play.
But knowing that they win.
So, yeah.
Look, our wives do the best that they can to put up with our crazy sports lifestyles and watching events. And so my wife will do that from time to time. She'll ask me something, and sometimes I feel bad because it'll be a very obvious question like, oh, did you see this, and this happen?
Yeah.
And I've now trained myself to look at her and be like, oh, like sometimes I act like I don't know just so I give her a win every now and then. Because it's one of those like, do you know who I am? Like, do you know what I do? Yes, I saw that story, but thank you for alerting me to it. I'm glad that you take a care in the career. So every once in a while I'll throw a bone and give her a win and be like, no, what? No way. Yeah, this, and this happened. And so I'll try and let her win one every now and then. But she didn't know. It's okay. You still ended up watching the game. And
I watched it all the way through.
We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet because you were catching up. You were delayed yesterday watching the game. And then so let's get into it. We have a lot to get to today. Boy, oh boy. Never in a million years did I think hockey would be the number one topic on a Monday show, and here we are. The United States won gold medal yesterday for the first time in men's hockey since 1980. Here's what we got coming up on the show. Eric Gunnarson's going to join us at 9. The Blazers also played a couple of games
The
this
Blazers
weekend.
had a wild weekend.
From giving up 842 points to the Nuggets on Friday night.
They should have been stinking it up, but then they redeemed themselves last night.
They did.
And
then Avdia goes down 1 minute into the game, and now we got that going on again.
Yeah, we get that.
So there's an injury to your best player, but they won last night, so you feel good about that. So we'll talk. Eric Gunnarsson going to join us at 9. We'll get his thoughts just on the second half, the weekend that they had. We will talk about the Blazers and what transpired to them. One of the people that I thought of this weekend was a friend of the program and a friend of the station who is a big-time hockey guy. We've had him on to talk hockey before. And, oh, by the way, the Timbers also played their first game this weekend. And so Tyson Alder's going to join us coming up at 8 because he grew up around hockey, still plays hockey. And so
he plays beer league hockey.
He's still out there at
jealous of him.
11 p.m. ice time on Tuesday nights.
I am so jealous. That was the one thing.
Chasing the dream.
My buddy and I, way back in the day when that Sherwood ice rink first opened up, we both bought hockey skates because they were having like adult, like beginning. We're going to teach you how to skate first and all of that.
Yeah.
And then both our wives started getting pregnant.
And then you realize, though,
that
time for
gone.
hobbies is done. Hobbies are not happening for another 20 years.
I still
you
have
want to do
skates.
it now? You could go find some ice
I still have
time.
the skates.
Maybe we'll ask Tyson if they need an extra. What would you be, a forward or defenseman? How do you feel? What's your skill set?
Well, when I grew up and played soccer, I was a goalkeeper.
Okay, you want to be a goalie.
I want to put the pads
on, get you in net. Maybe you got a little hellebuck in you. You never know. So we'll ask Tyson if they need a fill-in goalie at any time because that would be great show content. So he's going to join us coming up at 8. Lots to get to on this show today. A couple NFL things in the notes. We got some college basketball in the notes. Michigan lost this weekend to Duke. That was a nice little game. Seeing them struggle to get to 60 was wild. So ton to get to. We start, though, with the gold medal game. The United States did it first time since 1980. Did you watch? Did you wake up at 5 a.m. to see it? We'll start diving into that matchup. We'll do it next. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. Dirt and Sprague here, 105.1 FM The Fan.
This is Dirt and Sprague on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
What a day yesterday. What a day. Early morning for those who set the alarm and got up early. By the way, little treat for the early morning listeners coming up 12 minutes from now. We don't usually do this stuff in the first hour of the show, but we're talking hockey. So I'll explain, and you get a little treat coming up here at the bottom of the hour for those of us who are up early on this Monday morning. Yesterday, 5 a.m., the alarm goes off. Here we go. Didn't get a ton of sleep, waking up groggy. I put the Bluetooth headphones on to make sure I could get full volume on the TV.
Was this the morning Teddy ball game, like slept till 8:30 too?
He made it till, ironically, basically, it was perfect timing because I was worried he was going to wake up and I wasn't going to make the wife go get him because I'm already up. I'll let her sleep a little bit. And thankfully, he woke up right in the intermission between the third period and overtime. And it made overtime a little chaotic, but that's okay. He was running around, he was up, yelling, and they scored the game-winning goal. And I wasn't texting a lot of people because he's up at that point. And here we go. The day has officially started. So I got the entire. Actually, from that angle of it, like waking up at 5 sucks. We do that every day for work, so getting one on a weekend's kind of a bummer. From that angle of it, and being able to watch uninterrupted with a kid without a kid was kind of nice. Because if that game's on in the middle of the day, he's coming and going. There's maybe something that needs to be done. Now I'm pausing the game, leaving the room. So it was basically uninterrupted the entire time until overtime. And look, not a lot of things get you up at 5 a.m., but a gold medal game between USA and Canada will do that because it was something for hockey fans who have waited a long time. I mean, they have not been in a gold medal game since 2010 when they lost to Canada in Vancouver, BC. Every time that they have played Canada in a stakes game in the Olympics, a la, a semifinal game, a gold medal game, they lost every time they played them. Like, Canada is our daddy. Unfortunately, last year, Four Nations tournament comes back. First time we get the best NHL players playing on international teams again, and you get those great fights from the Kachuk brothers, and it was kind of a moment that hockey, the political discourse had a lot to do with it as well, with the 51st state stuff. And so everybody got kind of wrapped up in it. What happened in that game? Went to overtime, and they lost. Connor McDavid scored a game-winning goal. And so we have been climbing this mountain slowly but surely to a point to try and be on the same footing and win a gold medal. And it had been 46 years since the United States won one, since Miracle, and finally they pulled it off. But I did want to start with this because for me and my generation of hockey fans, and I think non-hockey fans, that's the unique part about the Olympics where there's a lot of people watching that game and following that game yesterday that don't know squat about the NHL. They don't know the players. They don't know anything that's going on other than USA, Canada, gold medal. And you're wrapped up into it as well, just as much as a hockey fan is. Do you remember 1980? Do you
yes.
So you firmly all of that was watching it on TV and the Al Michaels call and the moment in time in the country.
Yep.
Because that's something that I have been jealous of for a long time. Like growing up, I was born in 1989, so obviously I don't remember that. I've seen the movie 80 million times. I've watched documentaries on it. I've watched the playback of the game. Like You've lived through it and replays and all of that, but I don't remember it live and not having one of those kind of culmination moments for everybody.
We didn't get to see it live. It was tape delay back then.
Which is just, God, the way sports used to be on TV is wild. Like that one was tape delayed? Yep. USA, Russia, what are we doing here? Soviet Union, I should say. But we haven't had a moment like that where everybody kind of comes together and there's that pure joy and celebration, and it's been nothing but heartbreak and being close and being the bridesmaid. And so to finally knock it down yesterday, and especially the way that they did it, it was an all-timer. But as you went back and watched, what was rattling through your head watching the game? And did you think back to 1980?
Yeah. Yeah,
because it wasn't a miracle, and it wasn't the David versus Goliath story that was.
No. That thing was its own
thing, and the moment in time,
and the moment in time,
college kids, all of that stuff. Let's also not lose sight of how. I mean, Canada is a significantly better team.
Yeah.
For people who follow hockey and watch hockey, Canada, from top to bottom, from a roster standpoint, is significantly better than the United States. It's not the gap that USA was in 1980. It's not even close to that. But Canada's the best team in the world from a talent perspective, and so even they were still an underdog.
After line, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
And so Hellebuck was awesome. Like if there was an MVP or a Conn Smythe of the Olympics, he would have won it for the United States because that was unbelievable. But yeah, there was. I think you saw but they sort of kind of emulated the style of play and the attitude and the edge on the ice that 1980 team had. It's not always pretty.
No.
It's a little gritty. It's a little grimy. The Kachuk brothers kind of set that edge. You've got, the Hughes brothers who had the overtime winners to get
Both
past
of them.
Sweden. He took a stick and had some chiclets knocked out to get the penalty. But I thought when they killed off the 5-on-3, like if something was going to happen, if Canada, they had an opportunity to put a couple on the board real quick and go, okay, you're cute, but this is our sport.
Yes.
And they didn't.
There
and
goes
they
your
stood
1-0
up.
lead.
I thought the play Werenski made to set up and to give the pass was an all-timer. To go down there and to skate, and it did it against McCarr, who's the best defenseman in the world.
Yep.
Just a great play. And we'll see now. I think what'll happen now more so is these are NHL. The tough part about the 1980 team was very few of those guys went on to play in the NHL.
They were just high-level college players, yeah.
A handful of them did, and not too many had great. I mean, the goaltender, Jim Craig, he was around an NHL team but never had a career of note. Mike Arunzioni didn't have an NHL career of a note. That was his thing. And so now these guys will go back, and hopefully this will what will be different this time.
Is you got guys you remember and names you remember.
These names are going to go back to their NHL teams, and the Hughes brothers are playing for New Jersey. And Hellebuck up there in Winnipeg still and other places. And so now, the younger kids and maybe people that really enjoyed it will have a draw to go and take in some more NHL, especially when it gets to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll be curious because we've done that a lot as people who follow hockey. You always wonder, is there a moment that gets more people interested and involved in the sport? And I think it's a good point about guys in the NHL coming back now. And a funny other side of that coin that I saw somebody bring up this weekend was the idea that two of the biggest stars, and I know there's more than this, but two of the biggest stars on the team for the United States play where? They play in Canada.
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuck is not a goaltender for an American team.
No.
He's a goaltender for Winnipeg. And so he's going to go back, and it was a great article about this weird position because another guy who is one of the faces, he's a captain of the American team, is Austin Matthews. He's maybe going to be the greatest American hockey player of all time. He's the captain for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs sent out a tweet yesterday because they're in this weird spot where it's like our guy won a gold medal, but we're in Canada.
Exactly.
And so they sent out a picture that was like, congrats to Austin and Team USA for winning the gold medal. Go read the responses to the tweet. Maple Leafs fans are like, dude, what the hell, man? We just lost and then we got silver. Like, you can't be doing this. And I don't know. It was a really funny angle. And it was the same in 2010, right? You had Sidney Crosby score the golden goal, and then he comes back and he plays for Pittsburgh. But hockey's a little bit different up north than it is down here, and so I don't know if American fans had the same
TV
reaction.
number will be for that game.
It's
going to
be massive
States.
For overtime because it was early on a Sunday at that point because the game ended roughly around 8 a.m. somewhere in that range.
And then I know they replayed it later on in the day at some point.
But you're at 8 a.m., so a lot of people are up on the West Coast at that point. On the East Coast, you're 11 a.m., so I think a lot of people were watching in that way. And then to your mention of the replay, but I was that angle
of
guys
country
going
of Canada,
back to Canada.
like you go look at the TV for that game in Canada, and 90%
it'll be all
of televisions were on that game.
It is funny when you watch hockey where it's a reminder of the power of a goaltender, one, because Canada was a significantly better team. They had more shots on goal. They had more opportunities. They dominated, offensive possession time. They were in the United States spend basically the last 15, 25 minutes of that game in their defensive end just trying to hold on for dear life. And it's the beauty of that.
And that was
sport.
very similar to the 1980. They scored the Aruzino got the goal with about 10 minutes to go in the third period.
Hold on for dear life.
And it was the longest 10 minutes of their lives.
It's shot after shot after shot after shot. But there's just moments in sports, too, where you watch, and I'll get to something that made me super emotional in the aftermath of it, but you feel like there's almost something in the universe. It almost feels like there is a force of nature that is helping you win this game. Like, two of the best offensive players in the world are Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini. They both play for Team Canada. Connor McDavid's the best hockey player on the planet. And Macklin Celebrini, I got notes on him. He plays for the San Jose Sharks. He's a 19-year-old kid on Team Canada. He is their next wonder kid, if you will. They both have breakaway scoring chances. I mean, what percentage of those guys score on breakaway chances in the NHL? And Connor Hellebuck is an unbelievable goaltender, but even the best goaltenders at times, like, you're just going to get beat sometimes by great offense. What happens? Stops. You mentioned the 5-on-3. You give the best power play in the world 90 seconds of 5-on-3 hockey. They're going to score goals. Like, it's going to happen. And they didn't. Nathan McKinnon is one of the greatest players on the planet. He's won a Stanley Cup for the Colorado Avalanche. He's got a wide open net. He makes that shot 99 out of 100 times. And the one time is a gold medal game and he misses off the side of the net. And so it almost became one of those games where you feel like this, there's just a force of nature. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. The play where McAvoy's standing in the net, so they didn't even show a replay of that one. I thought the broadcast was impeccable. That was one of the few critiques I had of, like, can I get another angle of that? Because he's piled up along the goal line. Like, you got three bodies in the crease, or somehow the puck stays out. Like, there was just a force field around the net yesterday, and it made it feel really special. I'll get to what made me emotional in the aftermath of it for those who don't know the story. Yeah. And then I'm genuinely curious, like, to the point that you brought up, Swag, and this will be kind of a theme of the hour. Like, is this something that is this me watching the World Cup where it's like, hey, I get wrapped up in it, that's great, now I'm probably not going to watch any more soccer? Or is there something here that you can genuinely grab onto? I'm curious from people whether you like hockey or not. What'd you make of the game? The fan text line, you can interact with us the entire show. 503-864-6326. Hockey is in the news today, and what a glorious day it is. Back after this with more on Team USA's gold medal win, but first, here's Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Blazers bounced back from an anemic game Friday and took advantage of a beat-up Suns squad, holding them to just 77 points for a 15-point victory. Donovan Clingan ruled the paint, 23 points, 13 boards, 4 blocked shots, and now Portland returns home to host the Timberwolves Tuesday night. All the concern, though, is over Denny Avdia. He left the game barely a minute into play when his troublesome back acted up. USA men's hockey took center stage, wrapping up the Milan-Cortina Winter Games with its first Olympic gold medal since 1980. Jack Hughes scoring the overtime winner just a minute 41 into OT to beat Canada. Connor Hellebuck stopping 41 of 42 shots to secure the victory. Portland Timbers opened their season with a 3-2 victory over Columbus Crew. Felipe Mora Antony with first-half goals, and then it was Ariel Lassiter coming in as a sub to get the game winner in the 88th minute. Timbers head to Colorado this Saturday. They'll take on the Rapids. Jacob Bridgman held off charges from Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, and Rory McIlroy to win the Genesis Invitational for his first PGA Tour victory at 18 under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for Seahawks football. 1080 AM.
Oh, we're feeling good on a Monday, baby. Feeling like gold medal winners. We'll get to one of the greatest bits of broadcasting I think I've ever heard coming up in a little bit. I want to read. We got a lot of thoughts coming in. Hockey fan, non-hockey fan chiming in. So keep them coming. I'll read some of what you guys had to say. I'm trying to interact during the breaks and all that. I mentioned in the last segment, so Team USA wins gold yesterday. Remarkable achievement. They haven't done it since 1980. They've been knocking on the door forever. Finally kick it down in incredible fashion in overtime.
They, first one they've won not on home soil.
That's a great point, too.
They
That's
won
right.
at Squaw Valley and Lake Placid.
That's right. So the 2 times were American soil. And they'll have a chance now in France 4 years from now to redeem themselves. So many different angles of this game. But I mentioned in the last segment, like, it just felt like a magical day where it's like there's something in the universe. And we all have those days where we're watching our teams play, and it just like it feels like something else is at play here. And I don't know about you. For those who don't remember the story, the Gaudreau brothers, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau.
Yes.
Johnny Hockey was his name. He was a longtime NHL player, played for like 10, 11 years for Calgary and Columbus. They passed away about a year and a half ago. And those who don't remember the story,
it's tragic.
It's incredibly tragic. They were back home in New Jersey. They're American kids, American hockey players.
Their sister's wedding.
The night before their sister's wedding, they were out partying and having fun like you do at a wedding, and they did the responsible thing. They got on a bike, and they didn't want to drive, and so they were riding their bike around their hometown of New Jersey late at night, the night before their sister's wedding, and a drunk driver hit them and killed them both. And it was a moment in the hockey world, like, you just don't see a lot of stars die in the prime of their careers, right? Like, how often does that happen? You get guys who pass away later or after their playing days, but guys in the prime of their careers, you just don't see it very often. And it rocked the hockey community, and especially for Johnny, because Johnny would have been on this American team. He grew up playing with all of these guys. Like, for those who don't know the backstory or the background of American hockey, like, these guys play together from when they're kids, or, the academies pick them up, and they play in World Juniors, and there's tournaments constantly.
While the footprint of American hockey has expanded, Austin Matthews grew up in Arizona.
Yes,
and
you get some California kids that come through
Texas. It's still concentrated in the Northeast and Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan area. So that is where the bulk of American hockey players are born.
And it was, I remember at the time, like, just being shocked by the news, and then remembering, and they retired his jersey and the scenes in Columbus after that when Johnny's family was there. He had just had, his son was, I don't know, I want to say 6 months old when he was tragically killed, and so he has this young son. And I'm watching yesterday, and this is obviously a storyline in the background, and I was reading articles about his parents because Team USA invited his parents there. They hung a jersey up for him in the locker room throughout the course of the tournament. And in the aftermath of them winning the game, I got to be honest with you, man, that is one of the most emotional times that I've ever had as a sports fan. Partially because I'm now a dad of a 2-year-old, and so I'm watching this kid, Johnny Gaudreau's son, is now 2.
Yeah, they took both of them.
Both of his kids were down there, and if you were watching and wondering, I'm sure they talked about the backstory enough that you now know it, but if you don't, those are the 2 kids that were on the ice taking the picture with the team, and they had guys who he grew up playing with who were still close to the family. They skated over, got the kids, and they're going to be in that picture forever, and they held up the Johnny Hockey jersey. And it just, it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. And I'm sitting in my living room. It's 8:15 on a Sunday morning. I'm loopy because I got 4 hours of sleep, and I'm bawling looking at this little kid. And it felt so perfect in terms of everything coming together and it just being a magical day. And that's the theme of it for me. Was there was another hand in net somehow, and Hellebuck had a little bit of help back there.
Had a little bit of help
because it certainly felt that way. Of like, how does this many chances not go the way of the Canadians? All the breakaways, the 5-on-3, the open net, like they had chance after chance after chance to score, and for whatever reason they couldn't do it. And then you get this Johnny Hockey tribute in the aftermath of it, and it was incredibly emotional. The scene was awesome, and it brought a tear to my eye, and it almost just perfectly encapsulated everything that happened. And, a listener texted in because there was a Nathan McKinnon comment after the game where he basically said the better team didn't win. And I understand the sour grapes, and Americans are going to laugh at that, as they should, right? Like, anytime you get a loser who says we were the better team, we laugh at it because that's why you play the game, and the United States won the game. But somebody said, Dirt, I didn't feel like the dominant players were that dominant. Like, it didn't feel like it was that big of a gap talent-wise between the two teams. And I responded, like, the beauty of that in hockey, and this is also very similar to baseball, in that if one guy is dominant, it doesn't really matter what else you have around them. Now, you got to do something. You got to find a way to score. You can't win a game if you don't score a goal. So they got to get something. Yeah. But that's the beauty of hockey, is that you don't have to have all the firepower in the world if you just get a hot goaltender. That's why we get teams
hot goaltender,
go on runs in the playoffs all the time.
You get a couple of, guys to make. I mean, the Baldy play was just a spectacular individual play and a lightning bolt in the moment in time, and it came early in the game, and I think it got them all fired up.
Yes, and it got them going, and Hellebuck made save after save after save after save that didn't make any sense, and so it was one of those, like, that's what happens with a good. It's like a dominant starting pitcher going out there. You scratch across one run in the fifth inning, and that's all you need because he's going to shut down the other team, and they might have 4 MVPs in their lineup. It doesn't matter because you scored one run and they can't get a hit off your ace. And so that's the beauty of the sport, is that you can get one guy playing at such a high level that can carry your team to win. And it certainly wasn't just Connor Hellebuck, but that is a performance that we will forever remember because of the way that he stood on his head. And the irony behind all of that is, for those who don't watch hockey, Connor Hellebuck, you can make an argument, is the greatest goaltender in the world. He's a Hart Trophy winner, which is the MVP of the NHL. That's akin to a pitcher winning the MVP and the Cy Young.
Right.
Because they have an award for the best goaltender, and they have an MVP award. Yep. And very rarely do you see a goalie break through and win the Hart Trophy.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Just like you'll get a random pitcher who's so dominant, they're like, all right, let's give him the MVP
was
too.
Was Kershaw the last one to do it?
I want to say that he won one of those years. He was like 20-1 with a 1.9.
Yeah.
And Shohei doesn't count because he does both, right? So he's winning the MVP for both categories. But that's how dominant he is. But also the book on Connor Hellebuck is what?
He melts down in the big game.
In the big games, he can't do it.
Go talk to a Winnipeg Jets fan.
Yes.
And they'll be like,
they have to be outraged to a certain extent
they're
today.
They're just like, night after, night in, night out, he's just solid back there.
You can't score on him.
When you need him, he'll let up the softest of goals.
In Game 4 of a playoff series.
Fire one from just beyond the blue line.
Wait, what?
What are you doing?
Which is why Winnipeg fans are up in arms today, because they're Canadian, and so he beat their team in the Olympics, and now they're wondering, why can't you do this for our team in the playoffs? Because Winnipeg's in the playoffs every year, largely because of him, and then he melts down in the biggest moment. But that was the other irony of it for me, was watching him have that game in that moment. I'm just thinking to all the hockey fans who say he can't win the big one and he chokes in the playoffs. He's got a bit of that hanging around his shoulders. One listener asking, and this is true, and I read about this yesterday because the mom had a great post on this. This is how American hockey Johnny Gaudreau was. When his son, I'm assuming they did a C-section because he was able to choose the birthday of his kid. And he chose the day of the Miracle on Ice game. Because yesterday was not only the anniversary of a Miracle on Ice, it was his son's second birthday. So that's how American hockey these guys are. They're like, hey, you can pick a date. It's around this time of the year. What are you going to pick?
Yeah.
And he picks the day that you knocked off the USSR and Do You Believe in Miracles? And so that's how swept up in American hockey they were. His Johnny's wife, his widow, had a great social media post about the kids being there and dreaming about watching her son play on an American team in whatever 47 or whatever year you want to use.
And then you go back, Brock Nelson, third generation.
Great
winner. Uncle was on the 1960 gold medal winning team. His uncle was on the 1980 gold medal winning team.
Talk about the lineage there.
You want to talk about a tight-knit community? Like American hockey, it's a tight-knit community.
Yes. In the aftermath of it, I will also say, too, and I'm going to get to some audio and we'll read some listener comments coming up in the next segment. There are two photos that I think, it's always funny that you look back at famous sports photos and you think, wow, what a cool moment. How cool would that have been to have been there, right? Like the Ali Rumble in the Jungle, that there's iconic photographs, right, that we all know. And you're like, man, that would be awesome to be able to be there. There was one of those yesterday in the aftermath of Hugh scoring the game winner. So earlier in the game, he took a high stick to the teeth, and his front right tooth or left tooth, whatever side, I'm trying to flip my pictures here, got chipped. And so he loses a tooth essentially on the ice. He's bleeding out of his mouth. He goes on to score the game-winning goal, and he's the lesser of the Hugh brothers, too. That's the other irony of this, is that he was one of the guys.
He's the middle. Because there's a third that didn't even make the team. He's so young.
Of the Olympic guys, he was the lesser of the two. And he was the guy who I remember was a little, not controversial, but like, oh, okay, he's on the all right. He ends up scoring the golden goal in overtime. There's a photo of him with the American flag draped over his shoulders. He's got his fist in the air, and his teeth are missing, and he's smiling ear to ear. And I've seen so many people, that photo is circulated everywhere. Yeah. And watching the game live, it was really cool for me to think about that being a picture that 50 years, like that's a picture that will resonate forever. That's a picture that we will remember. I mean, unless the United States goes on to win 15 more gold medals and wins them every time, which is not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the
Canada's
rest of the
gonna be
world is
dominant
getting, and the rest of the world's getting better. Sweden and
we
Finland.
damn near lost to Sweden in the quarterfinals.
Exactly.
We've been close, so we might not win a lot of these. Like, you enjoy them when they happen. And so it just was it was so cool to watch a sporting event and then see the picture and be like, that's going to be the moment in the photo that everybody remembers from this event generations from now when they think back to the United States breaking through and winning their first gold medal in 46 years. And it's an iconic photo. And that photographer, man, can you imagine the chub you would have in your pants taking that picture, looking down? Because I'm sure you take a look down at the screen, see what did I grab, and you're like, oh my God, I did it. I did it. And that's one that's going to live forever. Let's read some listener comments. And then one of the greatest bits of broadcasting that I've heard in a long time in the aftermath of that game, as we wrap up our conversation. We might just do all 4 hours on this. Who am I kidding? The United States wins gold over Canada yesterday. Send your thoughts and we'll read through some of them coming up next on The Fam.
a.m.
You know what I'm doing today? I'm walking on sunshine. You know why? Because we get to talk hockey. We never get to talk hockey. Let me enjoy this, damn it. I'm also, you got to remind me of things. I'm an idiot. I say things and I forget them 10 minutes later. I got a bit of a Dory in me from Finding Nemo. So I promised something at the bottom of the hour. I didn't get to it there, but I will get to it now. Because we don't often do this early in the show. We always wait for later on. But you know what? Some of you are sickos out there. You're waking up, you want to hear my gold medal thoughts, and you're up in the 6 a.m. hour on a Monday. So just for you, how about right now? How about we do a giveaway? How about you text the word hockey, Hockey, to 503-864-6326, and you have a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to go see the Portland Winterhawks, who got a big win last night over their rivals, Seattle Thunderbirds. On March 7th or 8th, they're going to let you pick 2026 at the VMC, which, by the way, I was over there. I had not had a chance to get to a game yet until a couple weeks ago. Oh, my God, dude. The new arena and what they did inside. If you have not been inside the VMC, you were going to be shell-shocked the next time you go inside that place. Just blew my mind of new seats, new bath. I mean, everything's brand new. It is insanely nice. And it desperately needed it.
Who has played in that building.
Yes.
Holds a special place in my heart.
We won a championship in that building a very long time ago in basketball. That's how long that building's been around.
We beat Park Rose for a 4th place trophy.
Look at you guys, huh?
Yeah.
Look at you guys.
Suck it,
Sprague. You're not here to defend yourself today. So we'll have tickets to give away throughout the course of the week this week in a family 4-pack. It's your choice, March 7th or March 8th. Again, text hockey, Hockey, to 503-864-6326. The rest of them this week we'll do later on in the show. This one was, we're in the middle of talking about Team USA. I don't know if the Winterhawks asked for this giveaway on purpose for the aftermath of the gold medal game, but if they did, kudos to you, because that's brilliant marketing on your part. Go check out hockey, continue to follow and watch the sport. Before I get to some listener comments, let's play this. So the game's wrapping up. I'm a basket case of emotions because Team USA finally does it. Johnny Hockey's kids out there, I'm bawling my eyes out watching this, looking at my kid playing with him. He's got his little hockey stick in the living room, and I'm like, oh my God, life is perfect right now, right? And then Mike Tirico, who has been all over the map lately, calling different things in Super Bowls and Olympics, he's up there in the booth, and he drops this at the end of their broadcast, which I thought summed it up perfectly and is one of the best bits of broadcasting that I've ever heard.
Because of a drought that almost lasted a half century, those teams are revered. They are held on to forever. And what happened today doesn't take away from the greatness of those teams or the meaning that those teams have in U.S. hockey. But what you saw today was the build of a generation, inspired perhaps by that team that lost in 2010 in Vancouver to the Sidney Crosby golden goal in overtime, or the team where TJ Oshie had all those shootout goals in 2014. That's when these guys were doing what you're doing, watching on TV, and they were young, and they were living the dream. So for all the young people out there, not just the hockey, but all the Olympics you've watched, those dreams are formed now. Go chase them and go get them. Because our country loves sports, and it brings us together unlike anything else. And if you didn't know that, if you haven't been watching the last 2 weeks, you saw it in Team USA Hockey, winning the gold over their arch rival Canada here in Milan to wrap up these 25th Olympic Winter Games.
I mean, it's just perfectly said, right? The 2010 game is one I'll never forget because it was – I didn't follow the NHL and high-level hockey a ton when I was a kid. I'd watch loosely and Stanley Cup final games and all that, but I didn't have a fandom. We didn't have a team. I'd watch Winterhawks, and then when the guys would go on in the NHL, I'd follow their stories and their careers and all that. I really started to get into the NHL and hockey as I kind of end of high school, early into college, and then you have this 2010 game. They lose the gold medal, and I think Tirico's point is spot on about how moments like that can spark something, right? Like, I don't know what it does to the hockey viewership numbers going forward. I don't know if there's going to be some big bump of people watching the NHL the rest of the way. Maybe there will be. But
I think it's more in, again, inspiring the youth. How many more kids will
That's exactly
want
it.
to go put some skates on and go, and that's what a lot of the NHL being in southern, continent markets, it inspired. There weren't hockey rinks. I mean, Austin Matthews,
there's nowhere to go play.
There, when Arizona finally got a hockey team, and they built some rinks and they started
in the
youth
community
programs and all of those sorts of things. That's the grassroots where it goes, and you'll see
because you're always going to play in Minnesota and North Dakota and Wisconsin and Michigan and New Jersey. Like, they're always going to play hockey.
Yeah, but when the Kraken came to Seattle, there was some hockey community up in the Northwest, but how much more did that inspire? And now you have an NHL team with some resources, and they pump, into some junior leagues and youth camps and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
To put a stick and get kids in skates, put a stick in their hand. And so that's where the growth, I don't think it's going to be some instant boom.
20 million people are watching the Stanley Cup final now.
It's going to be a very gradual, slow growth of, learning and appreciating and,
It's funny that you bring that up because there was a tweet that went viral yesterday from 2011. So in the aftermath of the gold medal game, you lose, Sidney Crosby scores the golden goal. And I got thoughts on him too. I got more of this game. We'll get to it later on in the show, I promise. But there was a tweet in 2011, and it was about participation in under 10 American hockey, and it was like over 100,000 kids for the first time ever. This was in like 2011. And a guy quote tweeted it back then and said, "Look out, 2026 Olympics." And so it went viral yesterday because you just won a gold medal. But to your point, like that was the boost that you saw, where everybody for a moment came together, and then you were in heartbreak because your team loses,
Right.
and it didn't translate into a lot of extra viewers. And the hockey community is a hockey community, and it's largely just going to stay that. If you want to come on in, the water's warm. It's a wonderful sport. Please continue to watch.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, it is more about the next generation of hockey players and kids being inspired by something that's no longer ancient history, not to age people who were alive in 1980, but my viewing of that game is
not ancient yet.
Right, you're not there yet. My viewing of that game is, on YouTube. Like that's how I get. The only time I've ever had a chance to watch something like that is going back and watching a documentary or the great movie Miracle and reliving it that way.
Yeah.
And so to actually have one that you can remember and you live through, and that's going to spark a next generation of hockey players. What a weekend, man. The Olympics were a lot of fun. I know at times we can poo-poo it a little bit. You end up watching random things and getting involved in random things, caring about different random sports. First time ever that the United States men and women both won gold in the same Olympics. And those were the two sports that I cared about. The women winning gold, we talked about that last week. It was the highest rated. I had something in my notes. It was the highest rated women's hockey game, I think, ever. Their gold medal winning game against Canada. Also in overtime, in 3-on-3, golden goal. Both teams do it the same way. Tremendous weekend, tremendous run for hockey. We'll have some more thoughts on this coming up later on in the show. Tyson Alder is going to join us, our noted hockey guru who still plays beer league hockey at 8 a.m. We'll also ask him about the Timbers opener and some more thoughts on this game. Let's kick it over, though, to the Blazers. They play this weekend. You get blown out on Friday. Nice little bounce back win last night. Suns were shorthanded. That's okay. Last time they beat you. Denny Avdia goes down again. Where are we at? Where do we go from here? And how long is he going to be out for? We'll kick off the second hour with that coming up next. 105.1 FM The Fan.
Now, From the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Trailblazers turning the page from an awful showing Friday against the Nuggets to beat up the banged-up Spurs. 92-77, Donovan Clingan ruled the paint. He had 23 points, 13 rebounds, 4 block shots, and now Portland will come home Tuesday to take on the Timberwolves on the Peacock Network. But there is concern. Denny Avdia left the game in the first minute against Phoenix, his back acting up. USA men's hockey taking center stage on the final day of the Milan Cortina Winter Games. Grabbing its first Olympic gold medal since 1980, Jack Hughes with the overtime game winner, a minute 41 into extra time. They beat Canada behind Connor Hellebuck, stopping 41 of 42 shots. The Portland Timbers opened the season with a 3-2 victory over Columbus Crew. Goals from Felipe Mora and Anthony in the first half, but it was Ariel Lassiter coming off the bench as a sub to get the game winner in the 88th minute. Timbers will go to Colorado this Saturday to face the Rapids. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of primetime.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2. Dirt and Sprague here. Portland sports leader, 105.1 FM, The Fan, 1080 AM. The Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Thanks for being with us on a Monday, everybody. Sprague's out today. I'll be back tomorrow. Once you get a taste of those 3-day weekends, they're kind of addicting. We had one last week with President's Day. And not going to lie, a little jealous when he said he was going to take Monday off. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I get to come in and talk about hockey for an hour? Are you kidding me? You know how many opportunities am I going to have in my career to do an hour to an hour and a half uninterrupted of hockey and not have people chime in with, why are we talking about hockey?
Very few.
I mean, the only other time I can think of is if we somehow someday get announced as an NHL team.
Get an NHL team.
And we would then talk about it at length. Outside of that, if I tried to do this on any other random day, I would get shut down immediately.
Yes.
If Sprague was here, what would he have corkscrewed into 6:30? Something on like the Pistons. He would have thrown something at me early in the show today.
Knicks come back.
Knicks come back, and I would have looked at him like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Whoa.
No, dude. Not today. Not today. We'll get back into the gold medal game coming up later on. Some great thoughts that came in. I want to read those throughout the course of the show today. And one funny note that we didn't talk about yet, and this isn't just a hockey thing. Did you see, and now I don't know if they did it to the losers, and why not losers, because they technically won something, that they were giving away the stuffed animals. Did everybody get one of those? Gold medal, silver medal, and bronze medal?
Yeah, so normally at you'll see it at, usually it's some sort of bouquet of flowers, but at the Olympics, you get the medal.
Yes, you get your medal.
And then there is a memento from the games.
Yes.
And it looked like a stuffed rabbit or something.
Yes. I don't know what kind of, I think it was a polar bear. It was a little white stuffed animal of some kind. If you want to laugh your ass off, because I'm not kidding you when I say I probably watched this video 175 times yesterday, go find the video of Nathan McKinnon standing in line getting his silver medal. Plays for Team Canada, for those who don't know. And he gets handed this plush stuffed animal, like just the heartbreak, the disappointment. You lose. This is their religion up there. Like this, we don't even care that much about hockey. It's just a day that we care about hockey, and then we'll largely go back to not paying that much attention. This is everything for them. Like, they are devastated as a country, and he personifies that perfectly on the ice, and they hand him this stuffed animal. And I'm pretty sure that the camera doesn't quite show it. I'm pretty sure he immediately gets thrown to the ice. Like, he looks at it like, are you kidding me right now? And just chucks it down. The look of disgust on his face was fantastic. So go find that video if you haven't seen it yet. The Blazers played 2 games this weekend, and in typical fashion, when you get a Friday game and a Sunday game, it's very funny how differing the takes could be, right? Because if we come in and had a show on Saturday, for example, boy, oh boy, it was Friday night rough. I missed the first quarter of the game because I was running around, I think, putting the kid down, and I'm like, all right, let's dive in. Let's get our weekend off to a good start. Let's watch some Blazer basketball. Jokic is in the lineup tonight. I'm all excited. And it was, wait, what? Huh?
I forgot that they were actually playing. I was up in Seattle getting settled, getting ready for games or whatever.
Yeah, because you went up on Friday night.
Yeah, and so you guys,
I texted, I think, around halftime because it took me a minute. I sat down and started the second quarter. They were down by 14 at the end of the first quarter, and then it only got worse from there.
It got worse. I finally realized in the middle of the third, and I looked at the score, and I was like, what?
They lost by 54 points on Friday night.
Yeah.
157 to 103. They give up 157 points. They were down by 20-something at halftime. I was like, Jesus,
I thought we were healthy.
Yeah, I thought we were getting guys back, clearly hungover from the All-Star break. And so, I mean, Jokic killed them. Murray killed. I mean, they were just dominant. Both those guys together were outstanding. And nobody from Portland really did anything of note. And there you go. You get dominated in your first game out. That would have been the storyline leading into the Saturday show. And then we don't have a show on Saturday. And then they get a game last night. And look, I know the Suns were shorthanded, but you also play this game two ways where, one, the last time they were shorthanded, they came into your building and they beat you. And that was a pretty embarrassing loss on your home floor. So whatever, you just lost to this team shorthanded, so I'm not going to make fun of you for that. And then your best player goes down 1 minute into the game. And so a couple of different angles we can go down here. Let's start with the fun. This is like let's do the good news and the bad news thing first. The good news being highlights like this and the play that we saw from one of your young guys.
28 points or fewer, that would be the Blazers' record for biggest decrease in game-to-game last night.
Oh, Tom. A punch by Klingon on an extraordinarily fine lob pass. Oh, we need to see that from about 5 different angles.
It's a broadcaster's nightmare when you're talking because you have to talk. Like, you're kicking it to you. You got to say something.
He's talking about the defense going from giving up 153 and they only had like 70 at the time.
The Suns
whatever.
scored 77. Has there been a bigger drop-off from one game into the next in NBA history?
I don't know about history, but for the Blazers, that's the biggest turnaround
It's almost
defensively.
100-point
And
difference.
Haberstroh was doing that, and then all of a sudden, Holiday throws one up to the side of the backboard. Klingon actually goes airborne, reaches behind him, and punches it down. This is after there was a little brush off with Dunn, who was, being a little whiny whatever, trying to get in Klingon's kitchen. And
He'll
he's
go
like,
at you, man.
Get off me.
Get off. You can't handle this. That dunk was amazing. Klingon's performance was amazing.
23-13, 4 blocks, hit 3 threes, I think.
Yeah, he had a couple early in the game. Random broadcast, by the way, because playing that clip reminded me of it.
Smitty?
Dude, Steve Smith, fun little Sunday night surprise.
Exactly.
Was he not? Hearing the heartbreak in his voice whenever they bring up, because I can't remember, I think it was third quarter, they were bringing up, they showed an old highlight package, and it was in the Lakers series.
Yeah.
And he talked about, because they just had the reunion of the conference finals team and the 25th anniversary and all that. Hearing his heartbreak every time, and he's been on the show and shared that with us. Like, Steve, I was a 10-year-old that cried. How did you feel? It's like, well, this was my career. I had a chance to win a championship. How do you think I felt? You thought you were bad as a 10-year-old. Hearing him say that stuff, realizing how much it still resonates with him, will always make me love Steve Smith. He was one of my favorites when I was a kid. So getting him on the broadcast, really cool. Their run of fill-in broadcasters, dude, round of applause to the Blazers. Jason Medeni is as good as it gets in the business.
Oh, I love when he
And then
jumps in.
Steve Smith randomly, we love our guy Lamar Hurd. We got to drop a Lamar Hurd on the show. But if you're going to throw a curveball at me, Steve Smith,
I think
phenomenal.
Just
dude.
giving guys breaks, and
It's a long year, man.
We'll see. And it's an odd year. Who knows what's going to happen when Dundon comes in? What they're going to do with Blazer broadcasting? All of that sort of stuff. Something to discuss in the summer. But
without a doubt, they cleared house in Carolina. We don't know if he'll do that here, but time will tell on that front.
Yeah.
So random note, but really fun to hear Steve Smith on the call. Klingon dominant last night, and they win 92-77. I think I read it was the fewest points allowed in a 15-point margin win, and for
Something
a long
like that,
time in the NBA. I mean, seeing a team only score 77.
well, that was
pretty
the
rare.
fewest points Portland had scored all season long.
They won the game by 15.
Themselves, and they still won by 15.
So Denny goes down in the first minute, and that almost has to lead into, I think, the bigger storyline and kind of where they go from here. So we've talked about this at length now for however many weeks, right? Like how long since Denny first hurt his back? It's been a long time. He missed a chunk of games. He comes back, tweaks it again, comes back. Now we're back in this, all right, you're on, you're off, you're on, you're off, you're on, you're off. And I'm genuinely curious for people of like, and I certainly think the Blazers are going to do what's best in his best interest. But I'm now to the point where I'm starting to say kind of what I said at the start of this injury when it was believed that he was going to be out for a longer period of time than what it's ended up actually being out. Now, in totality, he might end up missing that amount of games because he can't stay healthy when he comes back. Like, back issues don't go away, man. It's very similar to the scoot hamstring thing where it started at the beginning of the year, and you're like, all right, maybe around Thanksgiving, maybe around Christmas he's going to be back. And then that kept getting kicked back, and then he's, not essentially on the court again until right before the All-Star break. Like, how many times do we need to see a retweak until we do let's wrap this guy in bubble wrap for 2.5 weeks and not worry about it? Because the one thing that I think we all know about the Blazers and where they're at in the Western Conference right now, I don't know if they're going to climb to 9. I don't know about 8. 7's probably
ninth
lofty.
right now.
Okay, they're ninth right now.
Game ahead of the Clippers.
Okay, from their win yesterday.
They gotta really go. And they've played the Grizzlies coming up. The Grizzlies are in 11th, and they are 5.5 games behind.
And the Grizzlies
Blazers.
they traded away their best player. John Morant's going to get arrested at some point. Like, they're terrible.
So the
they're
Blazers really have to screw it up.
Yes.
To not make the play in.
And the schedule that they have is one of the easiest remaining in the NBA. And that leads me to the point of, what are we doing here? How many times is this guy going to come back and play 4 games and then hurt his back again and then miss a week and then come back and then play 4 games and then hurt?
Well, I really want him to diagnose if it's simply just muscular. He doesn't have a herniated disc. He doesn't have something else that's the root cause of all of these things. Then, and if he's not really going to do any significant damage by getting out there and usually then it's treatment. It is different stretching, or
it sounds like that's what it is based on the way Splitter's talked about it and the team has. I mean, he talks about how he can't just lay on it. He has to constantly move to keep his back loose, and there's all of that on the side. So
if they can figure out between the physical therapists and the trainers and the doctors some sort of maintenance plan, then I think now when Shaedon comes back, maybe it's a situation where he doesn't have to play 35 to 40 minutes, and you can mitigate it a little bit easier. But
I also think part of it, too, is his usage rate when he's on the floor. And I think, look, there's not a lot of things to criticize from Denny's game because he's an all-star, he's the best player on the team, and he's carried you to this point in the year.
Well, and also you've got Scoot back, you've got Holiday back. He doesn't need to handle the ball all the time.
And I do think it brings up the one question that we all have about his game is I know Sprague and I have talked about this a lot, like how does he play off ball? How does he handle a role like that? We know how good he can be when you're giving him the ball in every possession and he's going downhill and he's setting guys up and all that. But if you ask him to play, 40% of a game off ball, how much different does his game look? So it's almost a different, unique challenge for him. And that's a point that I think is a good one of, like, if you are going to be out there, why don't we lower the usage rate a little bit? Now, this last night was, it was 1 minute into the game. It was like first possession of the game. He went down and you're out for the rest of the night. They say he's not going to return, and we don't know how long he's going to be out again. So I certainly understand the point on the muscle aspect of it. If you're not going to do any permanent damage.
Somebody needs to call Larry Bird, and they need to ask Larry, okay, at the end of your career, when your back was just a mess,
that's scary, man. When you're dealing with back injuries that continuously happen every 4 weeks now, it feels like, and you're out again, and now he's probably going to miss a chunk of games.
But I think the other thing, true, is, okay, if we just let you rest and rehab and have therapy and whatever we do, for a week, does it really change anything?
That's a good point. Yeah, very well.
So if it doesn't change anything and it could go out at any particular time, then suit up, go through warm-ups, and here we go.
Yeah.
Unless it gets to a point where it's just distracting for the rest of the team.
Right. And you have a certain game plan.
And then you got to shut him down for the rest of the year.
I'm really curious where Blazer fans are at on this one. It was a great night last night. The second half got off to a terrible start. You lose by 50 points.
I was helping my wife do something at the end of the day after I had caught up on hockey and then golf and whatever else. And she's like, I need you to do something. So I caught it midway through the third quarter, which was really the fun part because the Klingon chippiness thing he had going with the Suns was awesome.
He's got an edge, man. It's fun to watch him when he gets on one of those.
I love that.
Yeah. He's on this run.
He was chirping with everybody. He was chirping with the crowd. They were getting on him. He missed 2 free throws, then he comes back and drills a 3. Right. It's like, of all the things, too, like they lost in embarrassing fashion on Friday night. That's one where I think Splitter probably came in the locker room. He didn't say anything. He's like, I just want people who are ready to work tomorrow. I'll see you
show
at practice.
Up. Shoot around tomorrow morning.
Plane leaves at whatever.
He had a decent night against Jokic. Jokic cooked him because Jokic cooks everybody, and it wasn't all just on him.
Yeah, but Jokic cooked the Warriors without everybody and still lost.
Sure, no doubt. But I'm just saying on the Klingon angle of it, I thought he held his own to a certain extent. He had some nice, he made some threes. He was moving around, had some rebounds. It's just fun to see him get chances against the elite centers in the game because I know that he can do last night against teams that don't have a dominant big. Like, he's gotten to that point. Like, if you don't have somebody formidable in the paint to go against him, he can put up a 23 and 15 stat line on you.
They just have to work to get him the ball.
Yes. But he also, I mean, he had 3 assists, 4 blocks, he had a steal. Like, it was one of those like collective stat lines where
Let's go.
50% from 3.
Yes.
Dude, those are the games that you get super jacked about. So that was encouraging. Where are Blazer fans at on Denny Avdia? And also the role that it creates for this guy. Like, if this is going to be the way the rest of the year goes, I'm of the opinion shut him down for a bit. I see Swag's point on the muscle side of it, and you got to be careful with how you handle this. One guy is going to be granted an opportunity here, and we'll talk about him coming up next on The Fan.
The Fan is AM.
Look, I might be crying real tears in here because there's a text at the Fan text line saying more hockey talk, please. God, I love you. I love you. I love you long time. We will get to it, I promise. Lots more angles to get on from that game. And the worst part about it as a hockey fan is seeing people like Stephen A. Smith yell on television, and I can't even hear what he's saying, but it just makes my blood boil. Of somebody who's probably watched 4 hockey games in their entire life, now trying to grift off of this moment in American hockey.
Somebody gave him free tickets to go to the Garden.
Genuinely. I mean, the guy covers the
Rangers.
NBA Finals, and he plays solitaire, then turns that into a marketing deal. Now he's flirting with running for president. Can we shoot him to the moon and just get rid of this? Like, can we just end this now? Anyways, I digress. We're in the middle of talking Blazers, and a couple thoughts. Somebody said, does anyone play above their means when they play the Blazers more than Jamal Murray? Dude goes God mode every time. There is certainly that feel.
Yes.
Isn't it funny how guys will do that? And I'm sure there's Blazers over the years. Like, I'm sure there's teams Dame specifically torched, and their fan base would be like, God,
Well,
every
Dame always
time.
got up for the Warriors
Games. You're just every
Especially
time.
in Oakland.
I mean, we didn't beat them that often because they had one of the greatest NBA teams ever assembled. So it was a little bit different, but yeah, I see the point. And you're definitely right. I have that vibe every time Jamal Murray's in town. You're like, oh, God, here we go. He's going to do it again. Another one, just shut him down, talking about Denny Avdia. Why are we so worried about plunking a few wins? If it happens, great. If not, okay. Great or solid player, borderline all-star. The only real player we have has a body of 45-year-olds is what you're telling me. There's certainly that vibe right now. I agree with the sentiment. I am of the opinion shut him down. I understand your argument about muscles, and maybe shutting him down does nothing.
They need to diagnose it. And like I said, if there's not something, that is skeletal or something else significant that would require some sort of procedure or surgery or something.
Yes.
If it's strictly, he's got muscle spasms, it's a back, and whenever it locks up,
they're just going to act
up.
up. Yeah.
Then it becomes, okay, can we manage this better? Is there better treatment? Does he need to get to the arena 5 hours ahead of time and we start working on him so he can go? Or if it becomes too disruptive to Thiago Splitter, to be able to have a lineup and a rotation and those sorts of things.
And
then
not
shut
know
him down.
every night whether a guy's going to be in or out.
They say, okay, we get Shaden back, so we don't have to start Avdia, or maybe we're going to start Avdia, see how he goes, but Shaden's coming in at the 4-minute mark no matter what, that sort of thing, and it doesn't disrupt how he wants to run the team with rotations. Okay, fine, see what happens, and if he can go, and great. If not, but yeah, at some point, especially if they're going to be in the play-in and they want to lock in on setting rotations and this is how we're going to play and all of those sorts of things, at some point you have to know I can count on him for 30 minutes a night or not.
Right. You have to be able to rely on a guy when you're making a game plan. I will say, and I'm going to knock on wood. Let me find some wood here. I am so thankful to not deal with back issues because they just seem like my mom deals with them all the time. Her back seizes up and locks up, and you're like, here goes a back brace, and you're laying on a hard floor for an hour. My brother's back is like, does this all the time where it goes out, and he, certain heavy things, you're like, oh, God, just please hold on for dear life here. Back issues just seem like an absolute pain in the ass because you never know when they're going to pop up, and when they do, they're debilitating and you can't move. A couple listeners had mentioned maybe he came out at halftime and went through some shoot-around, and he was trying to give it a go in the second half. I think that's the frustrating part about this of it's not an ACL, right? Like he's not on crutches. He's not in a wheelchair. He can get through it. It's just the question of, and this is what we're trying to get to the bottom of, and I don't know what is going to be the right strategy. Whatever they're doing is not working because it continues to hurt itself. And maybe the answer is there's just nothing you could do. It's a back and you roll it out. And this is the way it goes.
And when he goes out there, he's and you don't want to put him out there where he's not going to go full tilt and be Denny and drive to the hoop and take contact and all that sort of stuff.
Let's be honest about Denny. Like that's the best part of his game. So if you take that aspect of his game away, again, this was a question that we had.
He's
when
not
Scoot
a stand
came back.
in the corner 3-and-D guy.
He's a guy that needs the ball in his hands. He needs to be going downhill. And so if you're saying, hey, go play a 70%, that's fine. What does his game look like at that point? Just standing around? And does his back get tighter doing that? Is that more detrimental than having him with a high usage? That's the unique, tough part about the back. But what I do know is in the short term, this is another, and look, I'm sure this is a broken record for some because they've given up on him and there's no hope. And he certainly wasn't, eye-popping this weekend in his first 2 games of the second half. He didn't do much on Friday. I'm not going to criticize him for it because nobody did. And then last night there wasn't a ton. The shooting efficiency wasn't as good as it had been. But this is your moment for Scoot Henderson because Drew Holiday is a guy who's up there long in the tooth. He had a really rough night last night as well. You're going to need some guys to run the offense. If this does end up being another break for Avdia. Drew being back is a nice start, but now I'm assuming if Denny can't play, you're going to slot, I would imagine, Scoot into the starting lineup to play alongside Drew Holiday. And so all of a sudden the minutes are going to go up for him. They did, by the way, say over the weekend that Scoot's minutes restriction is now gone. So that was good. He played 30 minutes. I didn't see what the total was on Friday, but I know last night he played 30 minutes. And so it's just another opportunity for a kid to get a runway. You mentioned Shaden Sharp when he's back. Like, there should be no question in your mind that he's in the starting lineup because he was starting before. So I'd love to see him back in the starting lineup when he comes back. Jeremy Grant had a nice night last night, but that was the way the rotation was working for a large part of the season, and I'd like to see it go back to that. And I also just think Shaden's more important to your long-term future than Jeremy Grant is. So it's just going to be curious to see where they go from here. We knew that the first 3 games out of the break were going to be a challenge. You started with Denver, and they beat you by 50. Then you get Phoenix. Thankfully, they're shorthanded, so you get the benefit there, and you beat them. Now you play Minnesota tomorrow night. Now it's back at home. Thankfully, this one's only a 7 p.m. Peacock game. I don't know why they moved it up. It's not an 8 p.m. game, so
Well, it's not on NBC.
Okay,
I think NBC's having some, they got to get everybody back from the Olympics.
I would hope they were getting pushback for starting games at 8 p.m.
Well, no, I think the reason it's not on NBC is they're getting everybody back from the Olympics. So it's just on Peacock because I think, your main guys aren't there.
I mean, then, look, not to go full Mike Francesa radio on you, after you get through Minnesota on Tuesday, you ready for your next 10 games?
Now, they are on the road. They do hit a road
trip. It is on the road.
So they got to perform on the road.
Sure.
But
at Chicago.
Oof.
At Charlotte. Charlotte's playing good.
Charlotte's playing good. You need to show up and play for that game.
At Atlanta.
Yeah, they're figuring themselves out.
At Memphis.
Yeah, they're a mess.
At Houston. Tough game.
Yeah.
Home against Indiana. Tanking.
Yeah.
You get Charlotte again. Utah tanking. Like, you just get the theme here. Like, that's a lot of what the rest of Portland season is.
Very winnable games.
Very winnable games. And an opportunity here for some of your guys to take on a bigger role in big years for them. And so, you're always trying to look for the positives of injury. There's not a lot for Avdia because he's been so good for you. But any positive outcome there is that, hey, maybe Scoot gets some run here. He's in the starting lineup, and we get to see a little bit more from him. He takes on a bigger role offensively, and I'm excited to see, at least in the short term, what that looks like. We'll see how long Denny Avdia ends up missing.
Yeah, you only have
double-edged sword last night, down in the first minute, but you get a nice
more games left.
I know, it's a sprint to the end. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I actually have in my notes today, because you're always looking forward to the next thing, like the next big sports thing. And certainly we're all going to watch Blazer games, and baseball's back, and there's stuff going on, right? Of just like the big sporting events you wait for, I have a countdown clock for you on all the big ones that are coming.
What's the first one up?
The World Baseball Classic.
Oh, that's ahead of the Players?
I believe so. Okay. I think on the thing that I read.
Well, the pool play game.
Pool play starts. Yeah, right. I don't know about the culmination of it.
Yeah.
Players might be before then. Masters right around the corner.
Yep.
You see Tiger in the booth this weekend?
I missed him in the booth.
It was a horrible interview, but he flirted with the idea of playing in the Masters, and that got my pants tight.
Well, I saw that in his press conference.
He didn't want to answer anything. It was really Nance was trying to pull any life out of him.
Yeah.
So is there a chance we see anybody play in Augusta? And he was like, yeah, a lot of guys are going to play, Jim. It's like, oh, God, Tiger, come on, Tiger.
Well, he teased it at the press conference on Tuesday.
Come on, Tiger.
Is the Masters off the table? No.
It's on the table, baby. It's on the table.
Yeah, it's off the table.
All righty, there you go. Blazers split the weekend. They're back in action tomorrow against Minnesota. Let's get into a couple of random NFL notes that I saw over the weekend. I promise you hockey diehards, we will get back to hockey. Don't you worry. Yeah. There's more hockey on the horizon. Top of the hour, Tyson Alger.
Combine goes this week.
It's Combine week, baby.
Yeah.
Also, a rule change that everybody wanted that the NFL is now saying, nah, not going to do it. We don't care. And one that I've argued for, that some people have argued against me for, that they're saying, you know what? That Dirk guy might make a little bit of sense here. We'll talk about that, some of the rule changes that might be coming to the NFL. We'll get to that next. But first, here's Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Blazers defense with a big bounce-back performance. After no showing against the Nuggets Friday, they hold the banged-up Suns to 77 points. They win by 15. Donovan Clingan dominating the paint. 23 points, 13 boards, 4 block shots. Portland's back home Tuesday hosting the Timberwolves. But there is more concern over Denny Avdia, who left the game a minute into play in Phoenix when his troublesome back acted up. USA men's hockey taking center stage, wrapping up the Milan Cortina Winter Games with its first Olympic gold medal since the 1980 Miracle Team. Jack Hughes with the overtime winner, a minute 41 into extra time to beat Canada. Connor Hellebuck stopping 41 of 42 shots to secure the victory. Jacob Bridgman holding off charges from Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, and Rory McIlroy to win the Genesis Invitational. It is his first PGA Tour victory. He finished 18 under par. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Sports Saturday.
One listener asking, valid point. Do we have something around our stadium that's hurting our players? Or we just jinx and always have players who get hurt? Do we have our substation? Do we need to do a report? Do we have a substation near the Moda Center? Does anybody know this?
No, the question is there one down in Tualatin at
that's
the practice
true. Practice
facility.
facilities. There's one in Tualatin. Good point, Swigart.
I'm trying to think because that's where I grew up. That's my old stomping ground.
This is your territory.
I don't think so.
Okay. Is it like an ancient burial ground? Did we desecrate sacred land when we put that facility in? No. What do we know? What do we know
I do
about?
know the Bridgeport Village, the big shopping center down there. It was a rock quarry when I grew up.
Oh, okay.
That's where we used to go. Our buddy would ride our bikes over there.
Yeah, nothing over there.
No, there was the Village Inn, and Yeah, there was a couple of things.
Areas changed just so slightly.
Yeah.
Is what you're telling me.
I'm old.
Isn't it remarkable how many areas, spots around the area have gone through that, and then you drive down 82nd and you're like, nah, still the same.
Still the same. Yeah.
So many different pockets have gotten nicer. Like as somebody who grew up somewhat close to Milwaukee, and my mom taught or was a counselor at Milwaukee High School forever. We were over there often, and they obviously rebuilt the high school, and it's beautiful now.
Well, they rebuilt that whole little downtown area.
You go to that downtown Milwaukee area, it's
really
beautiful
nice.
now.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, we're cleaning up. 82nd? Nah, hookers. All right. We'll get back to Tyson coming up top of the hour. I mean, we all know it, right? You're walking around. Hey, what do you got high heels on at 7 a.m. for? Tyson Aldridge coming up top of the hour. NFL news. Some for good, some for horrible. Did you see the tragic story about Rondale Moore this weekend?
I did.
Dude, that's just horrible. We don't know all the details yet. He was suspected self-inflicted gunshot wound, 25 years old. Like, just like that young, tragic story. I will never forget him at Purdue. He's one of those random college players. They knocked off Ohio State when they were like top 5. Purdue used to be a place in the Big Ten. Now they're not this anymore. I remember when Oregon joined the conference, was one of those like, oh, careful going to Purdue. Big teams go die
Jeff
there.
Brom was there.
He was cooking. And Rondale Moore
had it rolling. And
in that game where they beat, I'll never forget that Saturday. It was night game there, and the crowd was into it, and Ohio State was ranked in the top 5. He went off and had a massive game. Just a tragic story over the weekend. The other bit of news that's going on now is that we're getting close. Combine starts this week, and now we're entering into the period of the offseason where we're going to sit down and figure out, all right, what are we going to change about the sport? What do we want to go through? What do we want to evolve?
Competition. I don't know if they're meeting at the Combine because everybody comes.
Yes, everybody's there in town.
And we'll have, I think, starting tomorrow or Tuesday, each GM or front office executive for all the NFL teams will have a 30-minute press conference.
Yes, you sit down, you get answers from
all
of
the
them.
media's there. It's like, all right, let's just take advantage of it and everybody get all the stuff off their chest so it doesn't kind of linger or
It got nasty last year, remember, because of the tush-push ban and the Packers, and I mean, it became personal and it was ugly, and there was some personal shots getting taken. And
no, now that they're not as good at it, now that their O-line coach has said, I'm out of here, Sirianni, nobody's as concerned about it anymore.
I was curious of this. So Rich McKay is the committee co-chairman for the NFL Competition Committee, and he came out and answered some questions, and to Swag's point, this is that time of year, right? This is what we do in the NFL. What are we going to change? And the NFL, to their credit, is always very forward. Like, they sit down every offseason. All right, what's working, what's not working, what do we tweak, what do we change? This worked, this didn't work. So they're always willing to evolve. It's one of the great parts about the NFL, sans the kickoff rule, because that sucks.
Not according to Goodell.
Not according to Roger.
How many more returns did we have? We didn't have any more injuries.
Roger is a big fan of that.
Yeah.
It does take away in the biggest games, because random run-of-the-mill Sunday games, I don't really care that much. Not having the opening kickoff the way it used to be for a Super Bowl sucks. Where the cameras, everybody's running down the field and the cameras are flashing, and I know, whatever. Not that big of a deal. But they're talking about things to change, and I had the reaction reading through this yesterday of it didn't feel like it was as big of a deal this year, and so I'm not as outraged as I usually am, and that is the tush-push. Because Rich McKay came out and was asked about, are we doing this again? Is this what our offseason's going to be about? Are we banning the tush-push? We're going to talk about this for months on end. And he said, right now, there's no team proposal that I have seen from it, so I wouldn't envision it, but you never know. Now, again, it got nasty last year. The Packers were the ones that filed for it, and their rule change was essentially the verbiage of you cannot immediately push an offensive player after they directly take the snap from the person who snaps the football. So, right? I mean, it's a very legal way to say you can't go line up behind a quarterback and shove him in the ass.
That's the tricky part. You can't just go have a rule, okay, you can't tush push anymore. Well, no, it has to be something.
Yes, you can't quarterback sneak. It's not that. It has to be very specific.
Right.
So you cannot that was their idea behind the rule change. Now, it did not end up passing. And it is funny that the Eagles are not on the forefront of everybody's minds because their season crumbles. They lose to a Make-A-Wish 49ers team in the playoffs. Their you mentioned their coaching staff leaving. They couldn't find an offensive coordinator. Very interesting year ahead of them. And I don't have the same vitriol right now that I did a year ago about banning the play because they weren't as good. For those who were curious, the conversion rate this year from last year was slightly down in the NFL. In 2025, teams made a first down, so this past season, 76.8% of the time on the tush push. compared to from 2022 to 2024. So a 3-year rolling average, it was at 82%. Yeah. So you took, I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
The biggest gripe, now that we've, the broadcast teams are more ready for it, they've got cameras right down. The biggest thing is getting the officials to call false starts when there's false starts.
And they haven't been able to do that yet. I don't know what the missing link is there.
I don't know
we can't
either.
See
I don't
guys
know if
moving.
That's where we get the sky judge to come in and just go, nope, they moved early, back them up 5 yards. Dude. And you get teams that have a few more penalties that they start calling when they're actually there, and now teams will evaluate a little bit more.
Yes.
And maybe they're only going to go for it, when it's truly 4th and 1 and not 4th and 2.5 or something.
The worst ones were when you would get Philly on like 3rd and 3 to do it twice for a half a yard, a yard and a half. Like that's horrible football. Nobody wants to watch that. This isn't rugby. I don't know what their numbers were off the top of my head from a year ago, but there were slightly more total as the NFL wide, 112 this year to 101.
Some other teams started figuring. You started seeing some teams come. They would bring a tight end,
Pittsburgh
sort of
and
in
Seattle,
motion,
notably.
and then he'd go under center and do it like that.
Buffalo does it a ton with Allen.
Buffalo does that,
and the Eagles were still number one with 27 tush pushes on the year, so they were still number one. I agree with your point on the officiating of it. Like, how do we have those sky cams and not have the ability to just hover right over that bitch and then say, dude, left guard's clearly moving early.
And you get cameras. They now have the pylon cams, too.
Yeah, on the first down marker. Like, we should have the ability to see that in flag.
Because you don't have to be directly – it's not one where you have to be right down the line.
Yes.
Because you can see if the guard, takes his hand off early before the ball moves. It's pretty simple.
It is funny, though, how when you get a different – the team who's known for doing it isn't the most dominant team in the sport anymore. Yeah. I'm guilty of this as well. Like, a lot of the vitriol towards the play goes away a little bit.
So they only ran the play 27 times?
For the entire season, they ran 27 tush pushes.
That's 1.5 a game.
Let me see what I can find what it was for 2024.
There was one season it seemed like they did it, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Like 50 or 60 times.
I'd be willing to guess. Now, I don't know if this is off the top of my head. According to Google AI, never wrong. Computers always lead us to the right place.
They do a bang-up job.
The tush push, they ran it 48 times in 2024. So from 48 to 27. That's a massive drop-off. So that was my feeling of it.
Yeah, 48
watching
like
them.
3 a game.
I also felt like as the year went on, it waned because they dealt with some offensive line injuries. Like, you had Dickerson go down.
They weren't as effective.
They weren't as good up front. And so, your offensive line takes a step back.
I saw the Bills doing it more last year. I think the Niners did it a little more.
Yeah, the tight end point to your – like, a lot of teams don't want to put their quarterback in that spot, but they'll throw the tight end in there in motion or something.
Especially if the tight ends had, they were a quarterback in high school or something like that.
You're used to taking snaps. Yeah. One of my favorite highlights of the year is when Aaron Rodgers would line up in that formation and they would pick up the first down and him just standing there with his hands in his hand warmer like 8 yards behind the play, pointing first down and celebrating. Those ones always made me chuckle. So I don't know where people are at on this. I'm not as outraged by it. I think to Swag's point, you got to get the officiating of it right. That's the bigger deal first.
I think you can clean it up by just making sure your officials are right on top of it, or that's one that you can challenge.
Yeah. Sub 30 is a league, or sub 30 for the top team in the league is more acceptable and palatable.
It's 1.5 a game.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. You get a short yardage situation. So we'll see. It doesn't sound like that will be on the table for the NFL to change this offseason. Rich McKay said yesterday in a press conference that they will not, right now there's not been a proposal to get rid of the tush push, but there is the potential for a proposal to change this in the NFL. And I want to talk about that next because it's something that I have argued for a long time. Some people disagree with me, but the NFL is saying we might kick up this conversation in the offseason. Why this year of all years? I don't know, but this might be on the table. I'll tell you what it is. Get to that next on The Fan.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up.
Woo! Do not go in there.
A sports lowlight, ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomservices.com.
Threads it in, and Donovan Dent gets it across with 3, with 2, with 1 to the rack. Plays it up. Hey! Have done it! He's highest ending at home. Inconceivable!
That is Josh Lewin, Bruins Radio Network. UCLA tops Illinois in overtime. Did you see Cronin, by the way, apologize to the player?
Yeah.
He came out, was like, I shouldn't have done that. He didn't apologize to the media member who he got mad at raising his voice.
Well, no, because you can't raise your voice at Mick Cronin.
Are you raising your voice at me right now?
Yeah. But
UCLA.
apparently Illinois can't hold a 21-point lead over UCLA either.
That's not good, man. You never want to blow one of those. Illinois is having a good year this year. Blew it to UCLA. Who's singing it up? Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Our friends at Three Mountains Home Services are back with an amazing offer. Buy an AC and get the furnace absolutely free, but only for a limited time. Year-round comfort starts now. Visit 3mountainshomeservices.com today.
If you've been thinking about
All right, don't worry, you sickos. We'll get back in hockey coming up top of the hour.
What are we playing Canadian music for today?
I haven't changed. I need to change the
What are you
rotator.
doing
It's a
on
good
this?
reminder here. I'll throw some Freebird in there for the next 2 hours of the show.
Bruce.
Also, Timbers won their home opener this weekend.
Yes, they did.
As heard right here on the Fan, a thrilling game. Can you believe that I watched?
Good.
Not the entire thing, but I had it on Saturday nights. There's nothing else. Late game though, 7:30. But
a lot of them. I mean, that's the beauty of regular season soccer is there's no overtime. You know what?
When it's good. That is a great point.
2 hours.
Yes, it was going to be over at 9:30 no matter what.
And I always say soccer is one of the great, that and hockey, because once play starts, there's not a lot of stoppages.
No, that was something that a lot of people noted this weekend of how seamless the broadcast was because you didn't have constant DraftKings advertisements and video boards that were changing and circulating constantly and the break after break after break. Like NHL games, you do get a few more than that. Like
There's 3 media timeouts per period in NHL games.
Which isn't the worst. It's not as bad as some other sports, but they barely took a commercial in the game yesterday.
Yeah.
God, did it flow wonderful. We'll get back to that. Tyson Alder's going to join us coming up top of the hour. He's a big hockey guy, and he covers the Timbers. And so they won their home opener this weekend. We'll talk to Tyson coming up 13 minutes from now. One of the rule changes that might be on the horizon for the NFL, and I guess my curiosity would be why now if it does end up happening, and has anybody's opinion changed on this? Because I know mine certainly hasn't. And that is that there is discussion around league circles that they are going to contemplate changing the process for playoff seeding this offseason in the NFL. Now, for those wondering what that means, essentially it means if you win your division, you're not guaranteed home field advantage in the playoffs. For the first round, at least, right? You don't get it throughout the playoffs. And I can't even begin to tell you how much in favor of this I am. I think it's I think this year's a prime example of it.
I'll tell you what this is
Okay, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
For
You might have something there. The angle that I'll go down is looking at the NFC West as an example. The Seattle Seahawks just won the Super Bowl, did they not? Best team in the sport this year. Dominant defensively, great playoff run, Super Bowl champs, controlled the entire game against New England. The LA Rams were 4 yards away from beating them in the NFC title game. And mind you, if they win that game, I think the Rams do to the Patriots what the Seahawks did to the Patriots, because the NFC Championship game was the actual Super Bowl. And then you got the Niners, who have 6 healthy players somehow winning 12 games. Only one of those teams got to play a home field playoff game. And Seattle certainly deserved to do it because they won the division and they were the 1 seed in the NFC. I just am so tired of this idea that you could have the Rams and the 49ers. If you had just seeded based on record, do people realize the Rams would have been the 2 seed and the 49ers would have been the 3 seed in the NFC playoff picture?
Yes.
And then you would have gone from there with, I think it would have been Chicago as the 4 and then Philly as the 5, so on and so forth. And it's not the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal. There is a little part of me that just yells out irrationally when I see an 8-9 Carolina Panthers team get to host a 12-win LA Rams team that was a play away, a 2-point conversion away from having the number 1 seed in the NFC, and now they got to go on the road and play at your sorry-ass stadium because you're in the NFC South. I'm not saying you take these teams and kick them out of the playoffs. There should always be you win your division, you're automatically in. The idea that we have to let them host a playoff game is laughable, and I love that the NFL is going to kick this up. Now, why do you think it's happening now?
Precursor to setting up for the 18-game schedule.
Oh, God.
When they go to 18 games, two-thirds of your schedule will be played outside of your division.
Yeah, so it'll be more balanced, and you'll play more.
And so the weight used to be, so you will still, the division winners will all get in.
You get into the playoffs, yes.
But in theory, you could go 6-0 in your division. But if your division stinks and you
Right, you go 2 in whatever the rest of your schedule. Right,
team hosting a playoff game.
Right. It's laughable.
So
this was such an easy change to make in college from a year ago, where it's like, I mean, Arizona State and Boise State had good years, but why are they getting first round buys? Because they won a lesser than, like, neither of those teams is winning a big conference.
So
they're
as
good,
they
but
try to gear up for whenever they're going to make their play for the 18-game schedule.
Oh, God.
This is a precursor to it to say, okay, part of it is hey, if you have a juggernaut in your division that goes 16-2, but you still have a 14-4 season, you're not going to have to go on the road that'll be part of how they sell it.
For those interested in how this would have looked, it wouldn't have been that different in the AFC, if I'm not wrong. So your conference standings, let's see, based on win-loss in the AFC.
Trying to think who had
So this would have been your top 7 seeds in this order in the AFC. New England, Denver would have been the 1 seed because they were 14. New England would have been 2, which they were.
Yeah.
Then it would have been Jacksonville 3.
Yeah, they were division
and
winner.
they were 3. And then Houston 4. This is just based on wins.
So
Jacksonville would have been the 3 seed. Houston would have been the 4 seed.
Yeah, the AFC North winner sucked.
Yes. Buffalo would have been your 5 seed. The Chargers would have been your 6 seed. And the Steelers would have been your 7 seed. So it would have changed up some of those matchups. The Chargers wouldn't have played the Patriots, for example, in the first round.
Yeah.
So that would have looked a little bit differently. In the NFC, if you would have done that way, as I mentioned, Seattle, LA, San Francisco, 1, 2, 3. Chicago would have been the 4 seed. Philly, the 5. Green Bay, the 6. And then you would have to gone all the way down to Carolina as the 7 seed and the last team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I get that the NFL's largely done it this way, and there should be a benefit to winning your division. My argument to that is there is a benefit. You're in the playoffs. You shouldn't be in the playoffs. Pittsburgh, if they don't win the AFC North, I guess technically wins-wise they would have been in last year because there wasn't another team in the AFC. But Carolina would not have been in the playoffs, and they damn near won that game against L.A. And I think every time you see one of those and you get like the whole Mahdi, Marshawn Lynch run, it's like, this is why you should have it this way. Like, I'm not arguing they don't belong in the playoffs. I'm just saying you play – to me, it takes away from the importance of the regular season and the grind that teams have to go through. And not every division is going to have ebbs and flows of this. Like the AFC South is a division that we made fun of openly at the start of the year. And then you had the Colts be the story of the NFL for 2 months.
Yep.
The Jags finished the year as the hottest team in the league. And if the Texans had a functional offense, they might have won a damn championship this year. But they all had really good years. And so you look ahead to all of them. Jacksonville won 13 games. Houston won 12. And Indy, despite their injuries at quarterback, still won 8. So, like, we thought that was a bad division. It ended up being good. So every division will ebb and flow in and out of being a strong one and a weak one, and everybody will be punished for this or rewarded for this, if you want to say it that way. To me, it makes sense to get rid of it and say you can go to the playoffs, but I'm going to reward a team who has a better body of work. Especially if it's 18-game regular season, and you win 14 games, and I'm going to make you go on the road and not get a home playoff
before
game.
they expanded, and you had 5-team divisions, so you played 8 divisional games, and when you had a 16-game schedule, that was half your schedule.
Yes.
So it made a little more sense. But now you have 14 divisions. You want to expand to 18 games, and if your divisional schedule is only a third of your total schedule, why should that have so much weight carry to be hosting a playoff game?
That's a good point. Somebody says, is there any reason to keep the division formats other than the league trying to maintain traditional rivalries? Feels like we could still maintain those rivalries by playing those teams twice. Yeah, I don't know what the argument would be.
Well, if you go to larger divisions –
or just conferences. Why don't you just open it up? You play AFC. Then you're not going to get I don't know how you'd make that all work out. I'm sure there's a theory that you could come up with in a process.
You would have to figure out. I think the only way you start to entertain that is if you're wanting to entertain expansion again, and I don't think the NFL is ready for that.
Because it'll be international. Please don't let it happen. Are we following what's going on in Mexico right now, by the way? I had that in my notes today.
Yeah, that's a little interesting.
Good luck, World Cup. So yeah, I don't know what it is other than keeping the traditions alive. I'm not opposed to keeping divisions. That's not the argument here. Although
if you want to play home and home with your division rivals, you can't add.
I don't want to take that away from fans because I think it means something.
I think that's still important in the tradition of the NFL.
Again, I'll use the NFC West as an example. If you're a Seahawks fan, you play the 49ers, you feel a certain way, right? If you play the Rams, you feel a certain way.
But you want them in your home building once a year.
Yes, you do. And then you go on the road and you got a chance. That's different than playing New Orleans. It just is. And or Arizona, who's in the NFC West, but people forget because they're so bad that nobody cares about them. So I'm not opposed to the divisional model in the NFL. I think that's fine. I think you're spot on the addition of the regular season game. To me, this is long overdue. I don't understand why there's been a drag. You go to the playoff, that's fine. I'm not letting you host a playoff game if you're below 500. It's laughable. It doesn't happen that often. And when it does, in rare circumstances, you have an 18 or a 17-game regular season schedule. Let's do this based on what we did over the body of work and seed it that way. To me, it makes a lot more sense. Lots still to get to in hour 3 of the radio show. Maybe we'll get into what's going on in Mexico. They had to cancel soccer games over the weekend. The World Cup's supposed to be down there in a couple of months. We'll see how that goes. Let's start, though, with Tyson Alger, our buddy who is a known Little Cuties hockey player, a beer league hockey player. Grew up around the game. I want to get his thoughts on Team USA yesterday and all the emotions that went through his head getting up early to watch that one. And the Timbers won their home opener this weekend. So Tyson Alger will kick off hour 3. That's next on The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, after no showing against Denver, the Blazer defense showed up in Phoenix as they get a 92-77 win over the Suns. Donovan Clingan dominant, 23 points, 13 boards, 4 blocked shots. So Portland will return home Tuesday night to play the Timberwolves. And will Denny Avdia be in the lineup? He only played 1 minute before his troublesome back acted up. USA men's hockey taking center stage. The final act of the Milan Cortina Winter Games was their first Olympic gold medal since 1980. Jack Hughes scoring the overtime winner a minute 41 into extra time. Connor Hellebuck stopped 41 of 42 shots to secure the victory. Portland Timbers opened the season with a 3-2 victory over Columbus Crew. Felipe Mora Anthony had first half goals, but it was Ariel Lassiter coming off the bench to get the game winner in the 88th minute. Timbers will go to Colorado this Saturday to take on the Rapids. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance. Companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the firm.
Welcome back in. Hour number 3. Dirt and Sprague here, Portland sports leader, 105.1 FM, The Fan, 1080 AM, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Lots to get to in this hour of radio.
Here we go, man. Here we go.
We'll talk to Eric Gunderson coming up top of the hour, get his thoughts on the Denny Avdia situation. He's also been tweeting nonstop about tanking in the NBA, so we'll ask him about that. That's coming up 1 hour from now. But joining us now is the 3-time consecutive winner of the best-looking player of the Little Cuties Hockey Club. He is a writer for Lookout Eugene Springfield, and of course, the man behind the I-5 corridor, a good friend of the program, a good friend of the station, Tyson Alger, joining us now at Tyson Alger on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Tyson, good morning to you. What time did the alarm go off yesterday?
The alarm went off yesterday at 4:45, which I thought was a little early. I think I could have stretched it to like 4:55. Wasn't quite sure if we were like a 5, like a straight 5 a.m. puck drop, or if it was going to be like one of those like 5:10, 5:15s. But wasn't happy about it when the music hit. But boy, was I happy I got up for that.
Yeah, the aftermath of it, you're thrilled about it, right? I had the same thing. I think mine went off at like 5. I was a little more delayed than you. I did the let's sleep as long as possible. It was like 5:05. Rolled over, looked at my phone. It's like, all right, game hasn't started yet. I think I fell back to sleep for like 6 more minutes, and then I missed the first 2 minutes of the game. And I woke up in like a panic and got to the TV just in time to see USA score their first goal. I want to ask you, man, like you were one of the first people I thought of, and you were hanging out with people watching the game yesterday, and you're around hockey. You grew up around the sport. You played it your entire life. Of just what did it mean to you? Like as an American hockey fan and somebody who still plays beer league games at like 11 o'clock, like a psycho on a Tuesday night, what was the reaction for you seeing something that you've never seen before?
It was really cool, man. Like, I've grown up playing hockey my entire life, and I was never, close to a fraction of good enough to really care about, ever thinking about like representing my country or anything. Right. But like, I grew up playing in like Pee-wee tournaments and Bantam tournaments where we'd play once or twice a year in Canada, and you'd go to these rinks that have like 4 or 5 rinks in them, and there was you just got looked down upon. It was like the Americans are here. Like, these guys don't know how to play hockey. And then we'd go get our butts kicked. And then, it was always, this kind of like slow progress of, I remember when I was in high school, or I guess middle school, like when Miracle came out, and every American youth hockey coach saw that movie and then decided that, oh, I'm going to go the Kurt Russell style and just like skate the hell out of my team for the next like 3-4 months. And so, there was that. And then I remember the 2010 gold medal game in Vancouver, which up until yesterday was one of the best sporting events that I ever really remember, and just like how close the U.S. got in that. Like Canada's still a better hockey country. Like that team that they had out there yesterday is one of the most talented teams that I've ever seen assembled as a hockey fan. And it's still one of those things where if you play them, if they were to play a 7-game series, I'm sure it'd probably be a 4-1 Canada thing there. But for the U.S. to be able to kind of put together a physical team there, they left some of their more talented players at home and then just kind of like go all out for a grinding 1-game battle against Canada. I mean, it was just so cool, man. Like I had men's league on Thursday night, and you know how like during golf majors, if you ever go to the golf course, it seems like everybody's out there and like they're like
Masters week, yeah.
Or it's like if Tiger ever wins a major, like the next day at the course, like everybody's like that's what it felt like at the hockey rink. Like everyone just had was energized, like they wanted to play their best game. It's been fun. My only regret from the whole thing, but like I just wish it wasn't at 5 a.m. Like I feel like that was could have been such a boon for American hockey and the sport. And while it still got a ton of publicity yesterday, only us crazies were the ones setting our alarms at 4:45 and getting up and watching the whole thing.
Especially on the West Coast. Yeah. East Coast is a little bit more manageable with an 8 a.m. start and probably ended at around 11:30 or so. But even then, it's still early to your point if it's on in the middle of the day. Tyson Alger is our guest. At Tyson Alger on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Covers the Ducks for Lookout, Eugene, Springfield, and of course the Timbers for the I-5 corridor. I do want to ask you about the Timbers because they played an opener this weekend, and we'll get your thoughts on that. But you had mentioned I love the story of going and playing tournaments in Canada, and people are like, oh, God, the Americans are here and just getting your butts whooped, and how that probably wasn't a very fun experience. I think the interesting part whenever you get a moment like this in a sport, and maybe it's just like it's a moment in time, that's the only thing that will ever happen, and there's not that big of a takeaway here. Is there any sort of ripple effect as somebody who's been around the sport for a long time for you out of this? Like, is it just the youth level participation? I don't know about a fan increase, but like it certainly feels like the opportunities for hockey to completely capture the American sports fan and the American public doesn't happen very often. It's only happened one other time in my life, and that was, I guess, twice, because I'll count the TJ Oshie shootout and those that was it Sochi Olympics, and then obviously the gold medal game that you mentioned. But it's just these are rare, right? When like the entire sports world has their eyes fixated on your sport, you're like, hey, this is kind of fun, isn't it? Right? Maybe you should watch a little more often. It's kind of an entertaining brand of sport. Do you think there's a ripple effect out of this, or is it just a moment in time, proud to be an American, and then we move on?
I think there can be. Like the tough thing with hockey is like you're not going to get just a massive influx of people who the next day are playing hockey. It's not the most accessible sport. One of my big complaints is just like how expensive it's gotten over the years, whether you're paying for ice time or gear. Like skates are just insanely expensive now. So that's kind of the uphill battle hockey's always had going for it, but the exposure is huge. I mean, you don't really hear many people like saying they hate hockey, right? Like, but the only other time you really hear about it is like during the Stanley Cup playoffs when like the memes start flying of like overtime hockey is blah 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 blah. It's
like snorting cocaine and riding a bull or whatever the line is.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's always got like a fair amount of like respect to it. And when people come around and see it, like they usually generally like it, but there's just not that many opportunities for that conversation just because of the schedule and how many other sports there are and just the fact that like the league's not followed widely around here. So I think any opportunity where like it's able to be on a pedestal like that, and with the Olympics it's a little bit easier to you don't need to know all the rules. You just need to know if the puck goes in the net, you're up a goal on the other team.
Right. Don't worry about icing. It's okay.
So yeah, like I just think it having a week or so to kind of like be in the mainstream, like I do think is huge. And I do think it's huge that the U.S. was able to win this one where it was best on best. You know, the last 2 or 3 Olympics, it's been amateur players and it's been fun to watch. But like if you win, you know, another team can always come back and it's like, we didn't have Nathan McKinnon there. We didn't have Sidney Crosby there. We didn't have, so yeah, like I think that's huge. And, you know, if you look at, you know, just what the proximity and having it around is, like if you go up to Seattle over the last 2 or 3 years, there's just so much more of a hockey climate than there was before the Kraken came. And so it's kind of having that proximity, and the youth programs have popped up there. So, you know, I don't necessarily expect like a whole bunch of like moms and dads to wake up this morning and like have their kids like being like, all right, like let's sign up for hockey. But at least it's something that they've seen and it's part of the conversation now.
Yeah, Swag brought up earlier too, just, you know, you compare this to 1980 and it's all college kids who largely didn't do anything or play in the NHL. And now you got these guys returning to their teams. The NHL starting on Wednesday. And so maybe there's that familiarity, right, with names. And, I remember that guy. He did this. Or, you know, Hughes is the obvious, either Hughes brother, obvious examples of guys who had game winners in the Olympics run. And so did you have the feeling, 2 more for you on this, and then we'll get to the Timbers, because I do want to ask you about them. They won and they look good doing it on Saturday. Did you have the feeling of there being some sort of like, I don't want to go like I'm a little stitious here, but there felt like there was something at play, like breakaway chances for Celebrini and McDavid, can't score. 5-on-3 for 90 seconds in the second period, can't score. McKinnon wide open goal, like what? How? That's 999 out of 1,000. He makes that, and he can't make it there. You clearly get caught with too many men on the ice, and they don't call, like it just. And then Johnny's kids, you know, out there on the ice afterwards, and the players brought him down. There was a feeling of it being more than a hockey game yesterday that 1980 certainly had, because of the geopolitical tensions and that making that such a big deal. Not to mention just, you know, college kids against the best players in the world. There seemed to be that vibe yesterday, while not necessarily the same, to a different extent of it was more than a hockey game, and it felt like there was a supernatural hand that was helping them out yesterday.
When they killed that 5-on-3 penalty, I thought, okay, like there's something special happening here, because just killing, and it's not just that it was 5-on-3, it was like 1 minute and 30 seconds of 5-on-3 against, you know, the best 5 players in the world. But then there was like so many pendulum swings with it too. Like then like they had that 5-on-3, but then the U.S. gets like the 4-minute double minor because of the blood drawn high stick there in the last like 4 minutes, and they're not able to score on that. And
then he ends up committing his own penalty, and the whole thing's wiped out like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, but I mean, like McKinnon missing that shot, it's just crazy because of the degree of difficulty that he scored, like from a similar position on a tougher shot like the previous game. Like that guy can shoot like a CD through like a CD player, and somehow he's got 3 feet of wide open net and misses. Like that's some solid juju there going for the U.S. team. Because I mean, like even thinking about it going into like overtime, like it was an exciting overtime, but I hate 3-on-3 because it so much favors teams that are more skilled and fast. And every time that Canada is like running that offense, that's like 5 or 6 years ago, LeBron, where he just gets the ball at the top of the 3 and just charges towards the net. That's essentially what they were doing with McDavid the whole time. And the fact that they were able to force a turnover there and then get that odd man rush coming back. Yeah, I mean, it was just special, man. Like it was crazy at being like 8 a.m. and it's just like, okay, like how else can this day get better? Like,
what am I going to do now?
Like, do I take a nap? How do I get rid of this buzz or keep it going? You know,
such a good point, man. I had somebody tweet me when the game ended of like, what are you gonna do the rest of the day now? Like, I don't know, man. It's kind of downhill from here. It's probably the peak of my Sunday, and it's only 8 o'clock. My family just woke up 15 minutes ago, so welcome to the day, everybody. I just watched a gold medal game. Tyson Alger is our guest. What a day for American hockey! It feels great to come on the show today and talk hockey and have people ask me to talk more hockey. Like this has never happened before.
Yeah, man. Like I'll do this. Like, what are you doing next hour?
You want to come back? Let's revisit this again. Well, I do want a pub because they play, like we're the home of the Timbers now. We're very excited about the new partnership, and their first game aired on our station on Saturday night. And I'm like, all right, if they're going to be here, they're a part of the team now. I got to be a part of their team. So I'm watching the game on Saturday. I'm very thankful that I didn't send out early thoughts because I'm one of those like irrational early sports takes guys. And boy, the first 10 minutes of that game, I'm like, Columbus is going to blow them out.
Yeah.
It was 1-0. They had a bunch of chances. Timbers weren't doing anything. And then I went to go put the kid down and I come back out and I'm like, oh, it's 2-1 now. That changed quickly. So what were the takeaways? And I can't imagine drawing up a better opening night game than having 5 total goals, so you get fireworks, come from behind win, and the Timbers find a way to get the dub.
Yeah, it was just like a fun opening night, and that's the one thing about the Timbers under Neville. Like, they haven't been a bad team the last 2 years. They've been around 500. They made the playoffs, but like they've had this kind of tendency of, in some of these bigger games, or just kind of like notable games, of just not showing up. They lost the final game of the season last year in the playoffs. I think it was 4-0 to San Diego. Last year's opener, which was just a dreadful day. It was pouring down rain. They're playing Vancouver. They had this off season of kind of turmoil and drama, and then they just get smoked 4-1. And so you're coming into this new season where it's supposed new vibes. They reshuffled the roster a little bit. Like, things are going to be different. And then to let in a pretty soft goal, I think in the 6th minute, and the rain starts pouring again, you're just going like, oh gosh, like here we go.
This isn't going to go well.
But, to Portland's credit, like that, I think it was about 10 minutes of feeling bad before like they really kind of started putting the pedal down. Like, it was fun to see Felipe Mora get a goal, because that's like a kind of a familiar name who's had an up and down couple of years. But then just kind of like the new additions. They picked up this midfielder Cole Bassett a couple of weeks ago, who he's played some time on the American national team. He's 24 years old. He's from Colorado. Like, he's been in the league since he was 17, and you get these new soccer players, and especially for probably not the diehards, everyone's kind of wondering, like, who is this guy? Is he supposed to be good? Like, how do I tell he's good? And just like watching him like control the ball and feed some passes, he had a real nice assist to Anthony. Like, it was just like, okay, like I can see what they were looking at in this guy, and yeah, I mean, just compared to a year ago, it seems like players like just know their roles better. Like, there's some momentum, there's talent out there. So yeah, it was a really fun night at a park. Like, especially scoring a late goal to get the game winner. Like, yeah, they'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the last couple of years too. Yeah, the start, the rain, everything's like, oh God, here we go again. Nice win for the Timbers on Saturday night, and everybody who had to stand out there in the rain ends up leaving happy. Last one for you, Tyson. Swag has always dreamed of becoming a hockey player. He says back in his prime, he wanted to get into playing hockey, and then he had kids and things got in the way. He wants to know if he can put the skates on and put the gear on and step between the pipes for the little cuties at any time.
Oh, he wants to be a goalie?
He wants to be a goalie, yeah.
Yeah.
In
all my youth in soccer, I was always a keeper.
Look, like our goalie's currently pretty pissed at us because we've been keeping the shots a little bit high during warm-ups. So if Swag wants to come out and just like, eat that part of the clock,
eat some
like
pucks,
let us shoot high. You're wearing pads; it doesn't hurt. It's not like we're shooting it fast.
Now, how tall? Because Hellebuck is a monster. He's like
a big
6'5",
cat.
6'6". I am 6 feet tall. I might look a little small. Getting to the upper corners might be.
I think you're forgetting this is little cuties and not the NHL, but I'll allow Tyson.
Well, I understand that, but the goal is the same size. I'm just talking about there's a little bit more room for guys to shoot on me than Hellebuck.
Yeah, but with your assumed athleticism, I would assume that you're able to
big
just
assumption
make
these days, my
up that
friend.
difference. Yeah.
They call him Swag the Cat in there. He's got reflexes, dude. The twitch muscles are there. He's right. Okay, so that's a yes. We'll get Swag. We'll have show content out of this bad boy. We'll get
I mean, if you guys just want some social content in the summer to fill the void that football leaves, like we can put you in gear and just shoot at you, like we would enjoy that. Like,
you'd have a great time doing that. Yeah, it's a great bit. Let's do this thing. Anything you're working on right now, Tyson? Anything you're cooking up?
Man, we're working on some late season basketball features. I'm doing a thing on all the sad skiers and snowboarders who haven't gotten their snow this year, and kind of how that's affected that sport around. Yeah. And then spring football's coming around soon, guys, which I mean, as you can tell by the enthusiasm in my voice, I'm ready for it. But The Ducks do have two new coordinators, so we're kind of working on some stories telling people about them and why they are allegedly the correct choices to lead the Ducks next season.
There you go. Good stuff. Look out, Eugene Springfield, the I-5 corridor, at Tyson Alger on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Thanks for getting up back-to-back days. A little bit later today at least, so we let you sleep in a little bit from 5 a.m. What a day for American hockey. Appreciate you recapping it, Tyson, and let's chat again soon, okay?
All right, take care.
There you go. Tyson Alger of the I-5 corridor. Grew up playing hockey in Canada, went to college in Montana. I thought, that's a good guy. We got to get that guy on. That's one that he's been wrapped up in it a long time. And the Timbers got a win on Saturday night. How about the Timbers getting a dub?
And I like the fact that the last couple of years, like the back line late in games, last 15 minutes.
A little leaky late in the game?
A little leaky.
Okay.
They were fairly organized. And even though Columbus had a lot of the possession down there, they didn't get too many good looks late in the game.
Yeah, we feel good about the offense that we saw. We felt good about
there's
some
still
punch.
Bassett.
Who's this new cat, Bassett that they got?
Looked the real deal, and kind of one of the things that the Timbers have needed for a long time since Diego Valeri was a midfielder who can carry the ball from the back third into the front third and then still be able to deliver a pass. You saw that with the pass he had to Anthony for the second goal to give him the lead early in the first half. They have lacked that type of playmaker. They've had finishers over the years, but they've needed somebody to get them the ball in scoring position. Bassett looks like that guy. When DaCosta comes back from his shoulder surgery, that will add to it, and they look like they could be a little bit more dynamic in the final third.
Hey, hell of an opening night for the Timbers right here on the Fan. First time, fun to have them be a part of the station, and a nice 1-0 start to the year for them with a win over Columbus. Let's talk a little bit more about what transpired yesterday and what it means for the sport. We'll get to that next on the Fan.
a.m.
Well, it became the song of the weekend. Team USA wins gold. And now we begin our countdown to other big sporting events, one of them on the horizon. Fan Madness is back, baby. Join the Fan Thursday, March 19th, Friday, March 20th for the two most exciting days of basketball at Tom's Watch Bar and A&A Casino Resort in Ridgefield. We, Sprague and myself, the firm of Harrison Meringue, Fan Happy Hour, and Primetime with Isaac and Suk, all broadcasting live throughout the day. Don't miss a minute of the action. Play hooky with the Fan for Fan Madness, brought to you by A&A and Window Nation, March 19th and 20th at A&A Casino Resort. A lot of thoughts coming in earlier, and I want to get to some of them and read through them because I wanted to do that, and then we kind of ran out of time, and I didn't want to do 2 straight hours on hockey. I wanted to break it up a little bit, and some aren't that in tune with it, but I do think it's a moment where it kind of captivated the country.
I could do 4. We could preview the second half of the NHL season, the trade deadline.
I'd love to do that. Can I read something though? This was beautifully written. Like I'm one of these people. Like the trash talk of a rivalry is always fun, and seeing making fun of Canadians out of this is great.
I think there's a healthy amount of respect.
There should be between the two sides.
The frustrating part is, like, teams are super frustrated when they lose because there is so much respect.
Well, and they've, Canada's had their...
And then they go back to being teammates on their NHL teams, and it's all weird. Yeah.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about a sport like this. It's almost Civil War-like in that regard, where you got guys on Team Canada and Team USA are teammates. They're on the same team. They're playing against each other in certain situations. But this was written by the CBC up in Canada, and it was beautifully written, and Sidney Crosby, the last time Team USA was in a gold medal game, he scored the golden goal.
It was disappointing. He suffered a knee injury and couldn't be out there for it.
Brutal, man. Like, he's 38 years old.
This is his last one.
He's not going to likely play at the age of 42. He's still a very good player at his age.
He's not going to pull a Yager.
But he's not going to be playing into his 50s. And so this was his last opportunity, more than likely. Never say never, but more than likely in this. And this was written in the CBC, and it's like, man, talk about the feels of this. To think about... I mentioned the story last week. He was such a prodigy in Canada that when he was 10 years old playing Pee-wee games against like 14-year-olds because he had to play up levels, that different kids would go around, and whenever he would travel and play in their certain province or whatever, they would go watch him as a 10-year-old to like take notes about how good this kid is. That's who Sidney Crosby has been to Canadian hockey for that long. And it's written, Crosby's 38 years old. He was told in the third period that he should start putting on his gear because that's how he would receive his medal. He had to have his gear on. Regardless of the color, he began getting dressed the way he always does. He put on his ancient shoulder pads, held together with zip ties. He laced up his skates as though he might still get the chance to go play. He slowed down when the game went to overtime. He didn't finish getting dressed until it was over, when he put on his red sweater, knowing that it might be the last time that he ever wears it. Then he stood up, made one more of the countless walks he's made to the rink to step onto the ice once again. It's cold consolation in the minutes after such a stinging disappointment, but it's important for Canadians to remember something that they already know deep down, the way Crosby will feel it in his bones in 20 years when he shares a beer and 3 medals with Drew Doughty. Hockey isn't one continuous mistake, neither is life. It's one continuous opportunity, and we should be grateful for every game that means something. We should be grateful for every chance at gold that we get. It was beautifully written. I read the entire piece, and I'd recommend it to you as well. If you're kind of get that hockey bug and all that. Just to think about him being 38, him scoring the golden goal in 2010. He was the wonder kid back then, coming up, and he just won a Stanley Cup, or maybe multiple at that time. I'd say by 2010, I think he already had 2. And for him to end that way, that was one of the few duds of the day yesterday for me, was not seeing Crosby one more time in a gold medal game, because you always want him to be at their best when you beat him. A couple of listener thoughts I want to get to on the other side. Also, the impact. We've already seen it in one market. Will this be the case elsewhere around the NHL? And I'll explain what that market was. Get to that next, but first, here's Swag with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Trailblazers quickly turning the page from that Friday night debacle against the Nuggets. They held the Suns to just 77 points for a 15-point win. Donovan Clingan was certainly head and shoulders above everybody else with 23 points, 13 boards, and 4 block shots. Now Portland will come back home to host the Timberwolves Tuesday night, and the question is, will Denny Avdia be in the lineup? He left the game a minute in with his troublesome back acting up yet again. USA men's hockey is still glowing in gold after beating Canada 2-1 in overtime to close the Milano Cortina Winter Games, ending that 46-year drought since the 1980 miracle. Jack Hughes getting the winner. Connor Hellebuck stopped 41 of 42 shots to secure the victory. Portland Timbers opened the season with a 3-2 win over Columbus Crew. Felipe Mora Anthony with first-half goals. It was Ariel Lassiter as a sub getting the game winner in the 88th minute, and the Timbers will head to Colorado this Saturday to take on the Rapids. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live.
All right, let's read some of your thoughts. Lots of them came in earlier. I'll try and get through as many of them as I can. Let's see here. This one came from Spokane Jeff. We were on vacation, Playa del Carmen, last week, and for every game that Canada was playing in men and women's, they were packed around the TV during the game at our resort. I mean, it's a religion, man. It's what they got. So that's what makes beating them so fun, is we know how important it's the same feeling that other countries have when they beat us in basketball.
Exactly.
Internationally at the Olympics, like you take down the United States, it's
just
massive.
Whenever it happens against the NBA guys.
Yes, and it happened in what year did they not win the gold medal? 2004? Was that 4? 2? Whatever year that was. Then we had to have the Redeem team. What year did we not win the gold? There was a year in there we didn't win it, and it was like, oh my God, we didn't win the gold.
Now, was that an Olympics or was that like a World Cup?
I'm fairly certain that was an Olympics, but I don't remember. Because why did we have the Redeem team then?
Yeah.
Didn't we have to have the Redeem team from not winning the Olympics?
But I thought it
which was hilarious
World
that
Cup.
became a thing, as if like we're still the best country.
Yeah,
what are
I
we
know.
redeeming? Oh, now we have LeBron and Kobe, and like, all right, we're not some little engine that we redeemed.
It is going to
the win.
happen.
Somebody's got to get us again. Yeah,
that French team, if they
damn near beat us in France. It came close. Yeah. Another one, I enjoy hockey during playoff time, so stoked about the gold medal, but unfortunately for me and probably lots of others here, it's going to be really hard to care about regular season hockey unless Portland gets a team, just too much else going on. I certainly understand that. I'm just as guilty. Like early in the year, I don't watch a ton of early hockey because it's in the middle of college football season and we're doing Duck stuff on Saturday. Like you're so wrapped up in everything that's happening that I'll catch a game here or there, but I'm not watching it night in and night out. I think the question now is, to your point that you brought up earlier, Swag, of knowing the names, right? Like you have guys who have these moments, a Jack Hughes scores a game winner. I'm just wondering if that translates at all. And now, especially since we're in the back half of the year, like it's similar to the NBA where we say second half of the year, but the majority, there's not
two-thirds of the season.
Two-thirds of the season is already done. The playoffs will be here before we know it. And so we're in the kind of a home stretch now for a month before the playoffs begin.
Month and a half until the playoffs kick in.
Like they certainly suffer from the same thing the NBA suffers from.
And
I
follow
angle.
the league, but there's a team that's really good that could make a run to the Stanley Cup Finals that I've barely seen, and it's the Minnesota Wild. That's who Baldy plays for.
He scored the first goal yesterday.
I need to go watch that team. Now, they don't play the most exciting brand of hockey, but they do have Kirill the Thrill, who now he's the highest paid player in terms of contract.
Yes.
So yeah, there's okay, I need to. Now, it would be helpful if ESPN and TNT would give you more of their games. I think that's the other piece of it.
Yeah.
No doubt. And it's also interesting because you have 7 Canadian teams. And so, that is obviously the Canadian broadcasters are wanting to make sure they get them as much as possible.
Yeah.
With stuff. But yeah, I'll be curious to see that it's NHL guys that are there. And also, I don't know how locked in. I don't know how the NHL does it with their games with TNT and ESPN. Do they have some flexibility with stuff to move off of games? Or are they locked in the way the NFL and the NBA seems to be?
It's a great question. A couple of notes that I had this weekend. One, the idea of the NHL not wanting their guys to play in the Olympics is one of the worst business decisions ever made. Like, you're going to have a guy Kevin Fiala went down in this Olympics. For those who don't know, he plays for the Kings. It was it's a dirty hit in my book from Tom Wilson, who's known for that. He's a bit of a Draymond Green of hockey, if you will.
Yeah.
And he goes down, and it sucks because now you're like, dude, that's a key guy, and we're in a playoff chase, and how he's out for the rest. Like, those are terrible, and they're devastating when you go through them. But they pale in comparison to the boom that you get from the attention and the focus that comes with the sport. Because without the NHL players in there, it's just a World Junior tournament. And I love the World Juniors every December. It's something that I watch. And there's Winterhawks that'll go play in it. It's a really big deal to go support, play for your country in the World Juniors. It's not the same. And so that was part of it. The only other criticism that I had in terms of the broadcast, and I don't know how much say they have in this, NBC no longer has the NHL, so they're certainly not feeling the need to do it in any way. I feel like there could have been a better angle for American viewers of some sort of logo or patch to associate. Oh, he plays there. Oh, that's
well. This
who he
is one of my
for.
biggest gripes too with international soccer. So when you see the international games and you're playing for a country, like, can you tell me what club he plays for?
Who does he play for? What country does he play in?
He's in La Liga. He's in the Bundesliga. He's in the Premier League playing for them.
Oh, he's on that team.
They need to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they're told not to by FIFA.
Could be.
Or not, but that is something, if I were in a production meeting with whoever is putting it on, you need to, let people know when you're focusing in or talking about them and the graphic comes up, you've got to let especially American fans know.
Yes.
For soccer and hockey, where the hell where do you see them?
Right.
What team do they play for?
How do I go find that guy's games?
Exactly.
Right? Like that, to me, like Jack Hughes scores the game winner, and that's going to be of note.
Many people know he's a devil.
Probably not a lot. Maybe you know now. Maybe you'll want to watch the rest of the way. He's missed some time this year due to injury, and that's been New Jersey fans have let him have it a little bit because then he's back for the Olympics, and that's a whole nother subplot of this whole game. But that was to me a gripe that I had of, like, I think it's a great opportunity to showcase. Now, again, NBC has the Olympics. They no longer have the NHL. So what do they care about, sending people to the NHL? They just care about broadcasting the Olympics, and then Lakers and Celtics is on later tonight. That's all that matters to them. But that just was a note that I had. Somebody commented, we went to the Winterhawks game last night. My son instantly wanted to watch the gold medal game. When we got home, it was a great night. And those are the kind of stuff that you're hoping to get, right? Like little stories like that of like, hey, that was fun, Dad. Let's watch a hockey game. Let's go. Dude, go to a Winterhawks game, man. The prices are affordable. They've redone the building. It's beautiful inside the VMC. Like, if you got kids that were into that and they really enjoyed it, man, go support your local hockey team. Another one, a little bit of a late start today, but I had a full day of hockey Sunday. Got up early to watch the gold medal game, watch friends' kids play, and then saw the Winterhawks beat the T-Birds to cap off the night. Look at you with a hockey Sunday. That's a delightful day right there. So a lot of those kind of thoughts that were coming in earlier on, I'm going to scroll back a little bit because we had some in the first hour of just kind of where we were at on this and what it means. Somebody did have a hot take saying I'd rather have an NHL team in Portland than an NFL team. That's a little too hot for me. I think Swag might agree. I would take the NFL any day of the week. But if you told me baseball or hockey, it would be a tough call. Like you already have the building. It's an easier move. And this market in particular with hockey would.
And the only reason I would say I would rather have those teams because there's simply more opportunity. Like the NFL, I will consume, and Sunday you sit on your couch and you guys have talked about, even a college game going down to a Ducks game, unless it's like a super big Ducks game, especially going from Portland. Now it's different because if there's a team in Portland, we would hope that the stadium would be like in the metropolitan area,
relatively close,
so you could see the rest of the action. But it's such an ordeal and it's such a day that you miss all of the other action.
Yeah.
But having 42 hockey games
down the road, 10, 15
or,
minutes away,
81 baseball games it's
yeah. There's more.
I can go even if I'm only going to 5 or 10 a game, but on a Wednesday night and I get a little something going extra. Other than 8 Sundays out of 4 months.
You might lose a couple of them internationally, too. Maybe you're playing in Australia all of a sudden. Now you only got 7 games at home. A few other thoughts here as I scroll back. Somebody said that was the best hockey game I've ever seen. I'm 45. That was better. What was better was talking to my aunt up in Edmonton. What an amazing day. And that another one that echoes that, and I want to repeat that too. He said they were hitting. The game was moving at a lightning pace. It felt like the ice was slanted toward USA's offensive zone the whole time, and they took care of business. What a game. And I will say there was a moment in the first period watching it where you're tired, you're rubbing your eyes, it's early in the morning. You're just in awe. And it's no different than any other sport when you get guys like this is the whole thing about the All-Star game in the NBA, which you're never going to get, and I'm done arguing about it. But the frustration is like, man, you got the best players in the world on 2 teams against each other. Like, how cool would this be if you played like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals? And that's where, again, you're not going. It's an All-Star game. It's a horrible. I'm not comping the two. I'm just saying when you get the best in the world playing at that high of a level, there is a speed, there is a pace, there is a tempo, and it just. You're blown away by the skill. There was moments in the first period where I honestly felt like I was watching the game and fast forward, like not the triple click it, but just once. You're at 1.5 speed instead of 1. It just is going so quick, and the skill level was insane. And you're in awe of that level because you just don't see it very often of guys at the top of their game playing that hard against each other.
If you do take in more hockey as you go down the stretch, watch the difference between the last week of the regular season. Especially teams that are fighting for playoff positioning, ones that are out of it, they're bringing kids up maybe, but the teams that are, trying to get maybe out of a wild card into that third, divisional spot, whatever the case may be, or trying to get in. Even that, where there's urgency and intensity, watch the difference between that and the opening games of all the first-round playoff series and how much the intensity and the focus and the concentration gets ramped up. It's amazing.
It's when you get it at that level, it's hard to duplicate and it's hard to beat in terms of a sports viewership standpoint.
I love the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's a month and a half
I can throw any game on in any series, and unless something truly weird and wacky happens.
And you know what you don't get in the Stanley Cup playoffs? 3-on-3 overtimes.
No.
You finish the game the way it's supposed to be finished until you have a winner. Although I won't complain about it because Team USA benefited.
And I will be curious maybe if the NHL adopts this. I do like the rule in hockey where if you have a fight, you're out of the game.
You like that rule. In international hockey, for those who don't know, if you get in a fight in the Olympics, you're kicked out of the game. It's not a 10-minute or a 5-minute penalty. It's a game misconduct and you're out.
I don't know if the NHL would during the regular season, no, that's too harsh a penalty. But in the playoffs where you don't want that marring stuff. Now, I don't know if that would lead to more cheap shots or less because hockey has a purpose. Fighting has a purpose in hockey games.
Yes, it does.
And it helps self-regulate from, those Tom Wilson cheap shots.
How many guys would go running at somebody to get him kicked out of a game if you had a game misconduct? That's a tough part.
I don't know, but maybe you make it a 10-minute.
Yeah, a little more serious.
Misconduct.
Yeah, I certainly can understand that. Somebody said, why can't they have a patch on their jerseys that shows what team they are on? Like, that's an idea for sure. I think there's different ways that you could do this to make it, because I think you brought up a great point, Swag, of just where do we go from here? Because I know that we live in a hockey bubble and we'll keep watching the sport. And a lot of people would say that was great. It was, and I'm not making fun of anybody or criticizing. This is the way I am with soccer, dude. Like, if Team USA wins a World Cup this summer, which they're not going to, but if they somehow did, it would be insane, and we would be wrapped up as a country.
But do you have any idea what team and what league Christian Pulisic is on? Who's the top, American, most known
Chelsea,
American player? What?
Is he Chelsea?
No, he has moved on to AC Milan.
Okay, there you go.
Of the
couldn't have told you that.
Serie A.
And I'm not going to go start watching European soccer. Like, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to follow the Timbers closer because we're the home of the Timbers now, so I'm going to try and watch more games this year. So I'm certainly not criticizing that fan, but I know that I'm not everybody, right? And sometimes people get wrapped up in things. So I think finding a way to capitalize on this from the NHL level is one of the biggest stories.
You got a phone, you got a laptop or something you're watching, you're like, oh my goodness, who's this guy or whatever. And if a quick thing came up that says he plays for, so-and-so, and you can go, look something up, look up a highlight, look up a whatever.
Yeah, follow the scores.
Because your curiosity is right there in the moment.
Right.
And you need to capitalize on it because
you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Attention span of a net.
And I'm going to get to that here coming up in a minute because I'll tell you what the calendar look ahead looks like. Couple of other quick notes, and then we'll move on. God, this has been so fun talking hockey today. Connor Hellebuyck, 41 of 42 saves yesterday. That sets a new Olympic record for saves by a goalie in a gold medal game involving NHL players. 41 of 42, just insanity. The Team USA went 18 for 18 on the penalty kill.
Yes.
18 for 18, including a 5-on-3. And how about this angle and talking about the implications of what the Olympics might mean for markets? Get this story. This came out of the Bay Area this weekend. So Macklin Celebrini, for those who didn't follow or know his story, he plays
for the leading goal scorer
he was
in the entire
leading,
tournament?
I believe so.
I know he was for Canada.
I believe so. He's a 19-year-old number 1 overall pick prodigy. Like, this kid's and he had a breakaway, and I'm like, oh my God, here comes another moment for
Kraken
a young
fans are like,
Canadian
oh crap,
kid.
the Sharks aren't going to be at the bottom of the
Sharks are not going to be at the bottom for a long time. Here they come, right? They're having even a better year this year than they've had, and Celebrini is a massive part of it. He's dominant for Team Canada as a 19-year-old. Get this, Sharks individual game ticket sales during the NHL pause because the NHL takes a break because NHL fans are watching like, who's this Celebrini guy? He plays for the Sharks?
Yeah.
Their season ticket, individual ticket sales up 47% just during the Olympic break. Season ticket memberships have surged more than 400% from this point compared to last year.
Yep.
And there's now people down in the Bay Area that are like, this guy's the next Steph Curry down here.
Kidding.
And if this continues, like, he will never be as big because hockey isn't as big as the NBA. No. But what he's going to mean in that market and to the sport, you're already seeing it in some markets. And so you've seen it there, and I hope it continues elsewhere. Hell of a weekend for hockey. Great to talk about it. We'll talk to Eric Gunnarsson, top of the hour. What does he make of the Denny situation and what the Blazers should do? They're back in action tomorrow. Our buddy Blazer Banter will join us coming up in a few. What are the next things on the old bingo card? What are we putting on the calendar? We'll get to that next on The Fan.
Big hits, big bets, big plays.
Today I'm laying the big wood.
This is the Layin' Wood Report, brought to you by Mr. Plywood, serving Portland for over 50 years.
Melton slings it back to Pajemski, wing left, three! Oh, he checked. Pajemski drops it in. It's 124-111.
It's raining threes again for the Warriors.
How about the Warriors getting a win? That's Sean Kelly, ESPN Radio. Doesn't matter what Jokic does. That was right after they beat us by 54 points. Or 2 days after, I should say.
They didn't have Draymond. They didn't have Steph.
They didn't have
some.
They sat everybody. Warriors were like, we don't care.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Some WCC love.
WCC love. Maybe we shouldn't have lost to them by 54. God, that was embarrassing on Friday. We got the wood laid to us, so this is almost a simultaneous wood by a team who got the wood laid to them. Laying the Wood brought to you by Mr. Plywood, serving Portland for over 60 years. Delivery, custom cutting, and special orders. Visit them, MrPlywoodInc.com, or their location on Southeast Stark Street. All right, Eric Gunderson coming up top of the hour. I did chuckle. I texted him yesterday. I'm making dinner, and I'm like, let's bring some people on tomorrow. Let's have some fun. Let's bring people we enjoy talking with. Tyson was great earlier. I always love talking to Gundy, and I asked him to come on the show, and it was an immediate, Dirt, you got it, man. Now, what time are you thinking? Which was, I'm reading between the lines of, I'm not doing this at 7:30. And I said, Gundy, how about 9, man? Is that good? Absolutely, that works. All right. We'll see if he's live on the toilet. That's coming up 8 minutes from now. Now, I'm somebody who always looks forward to, like, I did this, football season ended, and I'm like, that sucks. I love football. Now I got this hole, and what's going to fill my hole?
And you're like, oh, Olympic hockey.
Olympic hockey.
And it delivered.
God, it was unbelievable. How often do you two get something that you build up in your mind, and it doesn't, it's a dud? Like, the Super Bowl was that. Like, I thought it was going to be a dud, but you're always hopeful, like, God, give me a good game. And then it sucks, and, you know, it's just not fun to watch. Rare that a game is built to that level and ends up living up to that level of hype. That's part of the mystique of yesterday. So if you're like me and now you're like, all right, that's done. Okay, I turned over and watched the end of the Genesis. Man, I thought he was going to miss that 3-foot putt. Hell of an ending, right? I mean, not easy to hold on to a 6-shot lead on the back
You're trying
nine.
to win your first PGA tournament. You start the day with
In
a
front of
5 or
Tiger,
6
too.
shot lead. Tiger's hosting, standing around, and you're like, you would almost rather it be like you have a 1 or 2 shot lead where you got to dial in. It's like, okay, I got to play. I got to go for it.
You get
got
a little
6-shot
loosey-goosey.
lead, and you're like, all right, don't make a big mistake.
When Bridgman hit, Bridgman ended up
When
winning.
he put it in the bunker on 16,
I thought the same thing.
I was like, oh, kid.
Oh, no, don't do this.
No.
And then he needs 2 putts to win, and he's, 12
And
feet away.
He hit the perfect approach shot. It was like 15 feet, but below the
Uphill.
hole, up the hill.
Yeah, he left it short.
And boy, did that pucker factor. And then he sees Rory drop in one. Now he's 1 shot behind after he rolled in a 30-footer.
I thought he was missing that 3-footer. I thought we were going to the playoff.
That's
Credit to him for
best
making it.
Easy 3-foot putt you've seen on the PGA Tour.
So look, we need to fill our holes here. So let's fill our holes together. Let me ask how many of these things, because Swigart is unique. His holes are always filled. You watch, it's college hoops. It's hot. It just, it never ends for you, right?
I don't have Swiss cheese in my sports.
You have no.
That is a brick of solid cheddar. You enjoy that?
That's a really good line. Are these going to fill your hole? So 11 days away, World Baseball Classic begins. Now, pool play, it takes a while to kind of,
we'll see.
All over the world, they're going to play games.
We'll kind of catch it.
Are you excited for the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, usually. The problem is, one, I'm neck deep in college hoops conference tournaments.
Yeah.
I love conference
It'll
tournament
be
week.
right around the time. Yeah, everybody's playing for punching a ticket and all that.
You have games from 8 in the morning till midnight.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So that's 11 days away, and again, that'll take a while to unwind. But look, the last one I remember, it was Ohtani versus Trout, and the last out in Japan
it was
won.
great finishing
Talk
up
about the theater.
Yeah, that was one that delivered.
A lot of big time guys are playing now. Like Team USA's
There's
got
a couple of
Skeens
guys that have
pitching and
gotten
stuff,
injured that have had to back out. But
I'm excited for it, though. It's a good way to start the baseball year. And again, the international level, you don't have that. It's never been the case in the Olympics. Olympics, if I'm not wrong, has always been college kids, is it not, for baseball?
Oh, yeah, purely amateurs. Major League Baseball has never allowed, because it's in the summer, and they're like, we're not
taking 2
stopping
months
the
off.
season for 3 weeks.
So World Baseball Classic's all you got. That starts in 11 days. After that, the next event will be the Players' Championship. Some call it the 5th major. 14 days away.
Pushing for it to be the 5th major.
And from the week, I should say. It's not teeing off, but we're 2 weeks away from it officially.
Exactly.
The Players' Week
that
being here.
gets my attention. I love watching that tournament.
Brando Chambly said it's bigger than all the other majors combined.
Oh, settle down.
Brando, shut your hole. March Madness NCAA tournament, 24 days away.
Exactly. And you will have first and second round games right there in the Moda Center.
That's right. I
got a thing for, I'm wondering if I should get a credential or not. Because we play Thursday and Saturday in Portland.
So it's around the A&A stuff, because at least we'll be up there Friday doing the show, hanging out and all that stuff. So that'll be, that's a good, maybe Saturday's a good day to go.
Yeah, Sprague and I went I don't know how many years ago
You were sitting behind Reggie Miller, right?
Got right behind Harlan and Reggie
TNT.
Miller. And that's when I realized Harlan calls the bulk of the game off the monitor.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting move.
So
I could see it in other sports because you're farther up. Basketball, you're so close. That's interesting.
But he called a lot of it right off the monitor.
He's one of the best, man. He's one of the best. I'll go quickly through the rest of them because I know we're against Sid Gundy coming up. Opening day, if you're wondering, 32 days away. So we got that.
Yeah,
Major
we got
League
that
Baseball.
goofy Wednesday night game.
Hey. Goofy. What, because it's not your team? You upset that it's
No.
Giants and
I wouldn't
Yankees?
care if the Dodgers were, because the Dodgers are going to be featured NBC on Thursday.
Yeah.
I loved it when they finally went to now, I don't know how many times it actually worked, but all 30 teams were scheduled to play on opening day.
A fun fact for you, the first baseball game this year will be the Wednesday before, so it's Wednesday
Right.
night
The
game, and then everybody else opens Thursday.
4th or 5th or whatever.
And my team, for some reason, is included in this, and the game is on Netflix. It's Yankees and Giants on a Wednesday night on Netflix. That's the first game, and then everybody else plays on
that's
Thursday.
a little, like,
I'm with you. It's weird. Interleague play right out of the gate.
I think there's
weird.
a doubleheader
Like,
on NBC on Thursday. Everybody's playing.
Have it be opening day. I hate that baseball does that.
And I actually don't like, because it used to be tradition, because the Reds are the oldest team, and they used to play the first game on opening day. They would play at like
cares about the
noon local
Reds?
time
Why
or
do we get the
1
Reds?
local time.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, come on.
Look, don't baseball doesn't need to abandon all the tradition.
Masters 46 days away. So
Yeah,
if you need
let's
that
go.
to fill your hole, that's around the corner. NBA playoffs begin in 55 days. Stanley Cup playoffs 55 days. They start on the
Yes.
same day. The NFL draft is 60 days away
In Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh.
That will be interesting.
And the World Cup 109 days away. So that is what you have on your sports horizon. If you're wondering, how do I fill my hole out of this? And you're like me, you're Swiss cheese,
noticed-
and you're not like Swag, you're a block. Here we go. This is what's going to fill
I
your hole.
noticed there was no French Open on.
I was not in the graphic. I did not. Is that one on clay? Are they?
That's the one on clay.
That's the clay one.
Roland Garros.
I won't be watching. But tennis people, there you go. You got
There
that
you
to fill your hole as well. We got a lot to get to in the final hour on a Monday. We'll start with our buddy Eric Gunderson. What do we do with Denny? What's the situation here? We'll ask him about that. The role now for Scoot potentially. If Denny does have to miss some time again. And he's been very outspoken on this tanking topic in the NBA. And I've been laughing reading his tweets. I want to start the final hour there. Gundy's next on the Fam.
Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Blazers with an interesting weekend, getting blown out by the Nuggets. Friday, they bounce back, take care of a beat-up Suns team, 92-77, behind Donovan Clingan, who had 23 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 block shots. They're back home Tuesday night, hosting the Timberwolves. The concern now is over Denny Avdia's back. He had to leave the game a minute into play in Phoenix with his back acting up yet again. USA men's hockey taking center stage on the final day of the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. They take gold in men's hockey for the first time since 1980. Jack Hughes scoring the overtime winner a minute 41 into extra time to beat Canada. Connor Hellebuck stopping 41 of 42 shots to secure the victory. Portland Timbers get their season off to a winning start with all 3 points in a 3-2 victory over Columbus Crew. Felipe Mora Anthony with first-half goals. And then off the bench as a sub, Ariel Lassiter gets the game winner in the 88th minute. Timbers head to Colorado this Saturday to take on the Rapids. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
All right, welcome back in. Daily Ticker Time. You're on a Monday. Lots to go to in this hour of radio. We'll see what has fallen through the cracks that we've missed, all focused and wrapped up on hockey. What a glorious day. The firm of Harrison Moraine coming up top of the hour, and we'll see if Patrick Harris wants to pop in and do a little crosstalk in the final segment today, so we'll have some fun there. So lots still to get to. Blazers played a couple games over the weekend. We talked about them earlier. A 54-point loss. Felt like the Chauncey days were back on Friday night, and then a nice win. Suns were shorthanded, but the last time we played them, they were shorthanded, and they beat us in our own building. So I won't make any gripes about that win. Denny goes down. Joining us now to talk about all of that is our good friend Eric Gunderson at Blazer Banter on Twitter. Now, am I reading this correctly, Gundy? We're no longer the Blazer Banter family. We are now the Burner NBA newsletter family. Did we change? Did we get a LLC change here?
We did. We officially have changed to the Burner NBA basketball coverage with a new slant.
Yes.
So yeah, just want to write a little bit more about the league. I mean, you know, when time allows, I'm always watching the league pass on those East Coast games. So I'm tapped in, other than the Blazers, but of course, you know, I'm tapped into the home team the most. So I'm going to talk about them a lot, of course. So, but yeah, we have changed. So the Burner NBA on Substack. Go check it out.
Look at that. Exciting times ahead, man. Go check out the Substack, the podcast and newsletter, the Burner NBA .substack. Let's start with the local team, and then we'll get to the NBA, because I've been cracking up at your tweets about tanking, and you've been going back and forth with people. It feels like for weeks that was kind of a storyline that dominated the sports media world for a bit. Now it'll go by the wayside because we always forget about things pretty quickly. The Denny Avdia thing is fascinating to me. Like and I remember arguing this when he first went down of like, should we be pretty like this is a back injury? Maybe we should be really cautious here. Thought it was going to be an extended period of time. Then after a couple games, you're like, all right, he's back. Let's see how this works out. Now it's like on, off, right? I think this is like the third different time he's left a game, maybe fourth if I'm not wrong. And we're not quite sure he's back taking shots at halftime, but this fear is lingering in the back of my head, Gundy, of like, how's this going to go the rest of the way? What do you make of it, and how should they handle a back injury to their best player?
I think it's definitely concerning, and you've been right. Yeah, I thought initially, you know, maybe after the second time he got hurt, I was like, all right, you know, they're going to shut it down.
Right.
But then they got the All-Star. It's his first time making the All-Star, and of course, like, he's not going to want to sit out for that, and so he goes through that. And also, All-Star is like, there's a lot of responsibilities. There's a lot of And also just like a lot of partying, like, and it's like, hey, like, is he really going to miss out on this stuff? So it's like, I'm not saying that he was like being irresponsible or anything. I'm just saying, like, it was a moment to you know, enjoy. And I just think that he didn't really get a break is really what I'm trying to say, is he has not really gotten a full extended break. And I think now with Scoot back, I really think that they owe it to him, and also I think to themselves to just let him rest and get well. But yeah, backs are scary. Like, I mean, for old guys like us, Dirt. I mean, it's like your back goes, your back goes, and then you're cooked for a long time. And Denny, it seems like he just still hasn't gotten right, and so I think he should take an extended rest for a week, or at least a week, if not two.
Well, and then I think a follow-up to that, Gundy, dude, you're spot on the back thing, by the way. I picked up the kid like a year ago one time, and it felt a tweak, and I'm like, oh, no, not this. I don't want to be at this stage in life. Like that's, my brother threw his back out. I'll add him out of the air. He threw his back out, turning around on the toilet, reaching for toilet paper, and I'm like, dude, that is one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. I don't even know how you do that. So the olds and backs don't get along very well. Let me ask you this, though, because we were talking about it earlier, like, if it's a muscle thing and there's no risk of him playing and you're just tweaking it, and then like if an extended period of rest won't help, the other thought I had is even if you're asking him to maybe do a lower usage rate, if you will, right? Like to your point, Scoot's back, Drew's back in the lineup. We know that Denny is so dominant on ball, and that's his biggest strength is when he's downhill and getting the foul line and all that. How do you feel about him off ball? We saw a little bit of it in the Olympics, or the Olympics, my mind's on hockey, in the All-Star game, as you point out. It just how that's going to fit, because now that Scoot's back and Drew's in the starting lineup and Denny's there, I'm curious to see how those pieces fit together, and I'm just wondering how you feel about the point guard rotation and Denny playing off of that when he is healthy, maybe as an off-ball guy.
I'd like to see it, because I think we've seen that, like the Denny ball where it's like everything's running through him. It has worked. They have won some games, and they did that when they had a lot of injuries, and they kind of had no other choice. And I think we've seen that has worked, but I think this team owes it to themselves with all the talent that they have to try and see, hey, if Scoot is running the offense, can you run a play where Denny is all of a sudden cutting through the lane off of a drive, and now Scoot's hitting him, and now Denny doesn't have to do all of the setup, all of the work. And I think it would benefit him. And I think he's been comfortable in that role where everything's kind of running through him as like a, kind of like a diet Luka, diet Jason Tatum kind of point forward stuff. But I think they should look to that more. And I think they're still figuring it out. I think Tiago Splitter's still trying to figure out the best way to play those guys together, because Denny has worked, but I think Scoot, when he's out there, you're missing out on the best parts of Scoot if you're not putting the ball in his hand and letting him make that first pass. And I think he really gets the ball moving in a different way that I think gets everyone involved. And I think I think there's a lot of potential there for that to be good, but they've just got to play.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Eric Gunderson is our guest. Go check out the new Substack, the Burner NBA Substack newsletter and podcast. Subscribe to the Substack. By the way, am I hearing birds? Are you outside right now?
I am outside.
Dude,
yes.
Those birds are delightful. Are you in the area? Is that a regional bird? Are you somewhere else? Where are you?
I'm somewhere else. I'm in California right now.
Oh, yeah, so little sunshine birds are chirping. Okay, I see how it is. We're using boats to get to work right now. Gundy's down in the sunshine. I get it. So you mentioned Scoot there, Gundy, and to me, of like the things that I'm excited to watch the rest of the way, Scoot's the top of the list, and it's not even close for me. Seeing Klingon have big games is great, but we've got a sample size of that already. Scoot's only played 6 games. Now, the first 2 after the break haven't been great, but the first 4 before the break were pretty solid. Where are you at on Scoot? Because I couldn't agree more on the idea of having him play without the ball in his hands. To me, you're kind of missing the whole point. And there's that weird still like, hey, Drew's still here and he's in the starting lineup. So even if Denny misses time and Scoot's in the starting lineup, now Drew is a little bit better off ball, but he's going to want to handle the ball. Now you got Scoot. That fit is weird for me, but where are you at on Scoot, and what are you hoping to see from him the rest of the way and going into maybe a contract year off season?
I'd love to see just more of Scoot. I think we saw a good amount of it last night. He actually played more minutes than Drew, even though he came off the bench. Mm-hmm. And I think he's just really dynamic. He's looking really fluid out there athletically. He's looking like he's got some pop, and I think also the passing, he just gets guys involved. He knows where to hit guys. And I think there's one play that really stood out to me in these first 6 games was against Philly, where Klingon got a blocked shot. Scoot gets the loose ball and then brings it up the court and then sees Klingon sprinting down the floor, and then he hits Klingon with the lob pass. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen or watched the game on TV or been at the Rose Garden and been like, why don't you hit the big man who's charging down the floor and making all this effort? Because it's like basketball 101. You feed the big man on a run like that, he's going to play harder on defense. He's going to do all the little things even more when you hit him. And I think Scoot, he just has that next level, like quarterback, like touch of the game. And I think Drew also has it, but we've seen the diminishing returns, I think, of like Drew being asked to create so much. First of all, he got hurt. I think some of these turnovers have also been tough because he's being, I think, a little overtaxed with being the main guy. So I think from what I've seen from Scoot, I've enjoyed it. I think the Blazers desperately needed it. I don't think they win almost any of the games that they've won without him. And it's nice having Drew back too, but I think for the future of this team too, also, I mean, Dirt, you and I have been talking about this. Like, this is year 3 now.
Yeah.
Like, you got to put him out there with your other best players and see what you got. Because if you don't and you go into another offseason saying, like, well, we haven't seen Scoot with the best players, what exactly are we doing here?
I mean, especially with Dame coming back next year, too. Like, if I ask you right now, this is impossible to answer, Gundy, so I apologize for doing this to you. What's the starting backcourt next year?
Oh, man. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, you'd imagine Dame would start, but also,
you would think, right?
You would think Dame would start, but I also don't know. Like, this is a completely different team. Dame has talked about it, but Dame also talks about how he's coming back trying to be himself. So I think Dame is going to want to start. Yeah. I think and Scoot and Drew, it's going to be complicated. I don't even know where you go with. And then if Shaden is still here, I mean, you got five guys basically that could start at those 2 guard spots. It's going to be a tough job for Tiago Splitter, and I don't envy it. But yeah, it's complicated, and I think not knowing how Scoot interacts with guys like Denny, that makes it harder to make those decisions. And if you have to go, sacrilegious here, but like if you have to ask Dame to be like, hey, be the greatest version of Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams that you ever imagined, then maybe you actually have a case to do that if you see how good Scoot is good with Denny in them. But I think you got to see it first, and I think that's the biggest bummer about this Denny back stuff is it's just more getting in the way of seeing Scoot with some of the other guys like him.
Yeah, I agree with you completely there. Last one for you, Gundy, because I know you've been tweeting about this a lot, and I'm sure covered it on the Substack and the podcast. I'm somebody who checks in. I'm not the biggest diehard NBA guy, right? I'm watching Blazer games, but outside of that, not seeing a ton. And then the football season ends, and I'm like, wait, the Jazz did what? They sat guys in the fourth quarter? And I'm one of these, like, outraged, you can't do that, integrity of the game. And then as days go on, I'm like, well, how else do these markets have an opportunity to get a star player? Like, the only chance that they got is tanking because they ain't getting them in free agency. And if you trade for one, you're giving up 38 first-round picks at this pace to go get Desmond Bane. Like, I don't know if that's the right pathway. And you think of all the teams that have built through tanking. So what have you made of this whole debate back and forth of tanking in the NBA? It's bad. Get rid of it. Flatten out lottery odds. The NBA says everything's on the table of how we fix this problem.
Yeah, I almost wonder if what they did to flatten the lottery odds, however many years ago, I almost wonder if that was worse than the old system, where the four worst teams had like a really high chance of getting the top pick. Because I think it's better for the sport if the worst teams get the best players. I mean, that's what they do in the NFL. The worst team gets, the Raiders are going to get Fernando Mendoza this year. He's the number 1 pick. They're going to get him, and it's like, no one seems to have a problem with that system. And I think part of it is people are bored. The playoff picture is mostly set. So people are like, well, what? But even though the seeding and home court and all that stuff still has to get sorted out. And also, yeah, 1/3 of the league is tanking, but 2/3 of the league are still trying. And we're not really talking about those teams. And I think it's just kind of an easy talking point to get at. But like with the tanking stuff, I think people are like, people have amnesia in the NBA media. I feel like we're looking at a standings right now where Detroit is like a legit contender, and 2 years ago everyone was making fun of them because of that massive losing streak, and they were horrible. And like another great team this year that's a great story is the Hornets.
Yeah,
another like perennial tanking team that had to tank several years on end to get a lot of good players, and now they're good. And so, yeah, the Utah stuff is gets a lot of headlines, and yeah, it's weird that they pulled guys out of a game, but I also don't think it's like this panic that this like moral panic. Like I think it's good that the worst teams get the best players, and places like Detroit and Charlotte and Portland and Utah all have good players. I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, I made the argument. I'm wondering if it like the flattening of the lottery odds, anyways. Like has it killed it because then you get teams who are perpetually tanking because they can't get the number one overall pick. Like you're bad, and you're like the whole point of being bad is getting the player, and then all right, then we'll turn it around. And some of this is on bad picking, right? Like some teams do get the top pick and they end up flailing, or the second pick or whatever, and it doesn't work out. But I couldn't agree more with you. Like the longer I've lingered on this topic, I'm like, why do we spend so much time debating this? If teams want to eat the financial impact of being terrible and winning 13 games, whatever, dude. Let them get the number one overall pick. The small markets only have one pathway to get better. That's the only way. Let them get their guy, build around them, and then you have Detroit's and Charlotte's. Also, absolute home run point for you a couple of weeks ago, or I can't remember how long, but when you pointed out Charlotte was everybody's second favorite team as a kid, you were 100% spot on there. In our generation, everybody had an Eastern Conference team, and it was the Charlotte Hornets and Alonzo and all that, Larry Johnson, all the guys. Credit to that point, phenomenal, and keep up the great work. Go give them a follow on Twitter, @BlazerBanter. Check out the Burner NBA Substack, the Burner NBA newsletter and podcast. Enjoy the birds chirping in California. Thanks for the time this morning, Gundy, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, Dirt. Thank you, man.
There you go. And Eric Gunderson of the Burner NBA Substack. He's so, like, we don't yell about this in the NFL. It makes me laugh. His spot on the Raiders have the number one overall pick. Should they really get Mendoza, though? I don't know. It's become a thing in the NBA that it's almost taken on a life of its own, and I think he's right that there's a lot of people, myself included, who don't follow it that closely. Football season ends, and you kind of pull your head up from your football fog, and you're like, all right, what can I be outraged by? And tanking in the NBA has been that conversation. Lots still to get to on this fine radio program. We are back after this on 105.1 FM The Fan.
I do, y'all.
All right, welcome back in. From Harris Moraine coming up top of the hour. Patrick Harris will stop by. We'll do some crosstalk. Bring back the award-winning crosstalk segment.
Oh, it's Paddy football. Get Paddy football stats.
He's going to be feeling pretty good. Let's play the quick over-under game, and then I want to ask you, would you sell this? Or would you have sold it a long time ago? The gold medal game between Canada, USA in 2010 in Vancouver.
Okay.
Average. Now, this is not peak time. Averaged. 27.6 million. Now, Vancouver, BC, not in Italy.
No.
The game was on in the middle of the day.
It was.
Not at 5 o'clock in the morning. What do we think the number ends up hitting? And we haven't gotten it yet. I'm just curious. That was, so just to put in perspective, 27.6 million.
I don't think it'll
watch
be
USA
that
Canada
big.
2010.
I think it'll be somewhere 18 to 20 million.
18 to 20 million. I'll be really curious what the peak number is, because I do think by the end of it, most people are up around 8 a.m. on the weekend.
I think then you might be in the 20, somewhere 25 to 30.
East Coast, it's 11 a.m. basically when the game ends. Like, everybody's up and around, and you know what's going on at that point. But I was just curious what the number might end up. Once we know it, we'll pass it along. This piqued my interest over the weekend. My brother's been trying to tell me to watch the King of Collectibles show on Netflix, and they go around looking for sports artifacts. He's super into this show.
Okay.
And something that was featured on the show just sold for $5.1 million.
Wow.
Now, the backstory of this is actually pretty cool on how this was all created. So what ended up selling was a Honus Wagner card.
And this is the first sports trading card.
Like, just right out of the gate. This card was pulled, for perspective, in 1909.
Yeah.
1909 when this card came out. It's incredibly rare. There's been 2 other Wagner cards that have sold for, I think this is the second highest or the third highest in terms of total amount for a card ever in the history of these. One sold for 7.25 because it was, I think, got a higher grade and the quality of the card was a little bit better. This one got a 1 grade and it still sold for $5.1 million. The reason that I find it fascinating, so I was reading through this story. First off, this family has had it in their in their belongings for 117 years. It's not something that's like passed around random trade shows and kind of showed up and somebody's like, oh my God, what is this? Should we sell it? This family, it was like their great-great-grandfather, and he ran a company where he was a card collector, and he put them in frames and put them up around the office. And then the business went under, and a lot of the stuff ended up in like a storage facility. And so this was just sitting in there, and this family went in and went through stuff, and they eventually found it, and they're like, oh my God, is this worth anything? And they got it graded, and they found out that it actually is. One of the rarest sports cars ever, and it's revered because when he was a shortstop for the Pirates, Honus Wagner, back in the day, the cards used to come from American tobacco companies, and they were put in essentially like cigarette packs, and that's how they would sell them. And one of the beliefs is back in the day that he did not like the idea of tobacco companies hawking products to children. And so he was like, dude, pull my card. You're not selling those in cigarette packages. Now, that's one of the rumors. One of the other ones is that he was an NIL pioneer, and he was like, am I making any money off of this? And they told him no. And so he said, well, then stop selling my card. So there's random kind of theories on why this is. The most believed is the tobacco incident with children. And they found it, and it ended up selling for $5.1 million. A 1909 Sweet Caporal T206 Honus Wagner card. I have a question of third most expensive ever. So one sold for $6.6 million in 2021 and $7.25 million in 2022. So it's the third most expensive ever. How long ago would you have sold this? And how, like, if you found this in somebody's possession, is there any part of you that keeps it and sees it go up in value, or are you immediately hawking this thing?
I don't know. I'm talking to some experts.
You get the grade, so that's what they did. They went on this Netflix show. That's how it was on the Netflix show. I think the family was in it, and they went through and they were like, all right, they did the grading, and they did, okay, here's what it's worth, here's what it might fetch at auction. So they did all the research, and they decided $5 million was enough.
Yeah. Hard to say. It also depends on, what the situation is. What would that do right now versus, okay, is there, like, you would have to look, is like
5 years from now, will this change? Will it go up that much?
Is there some anniversary? Is there something going on? But yeah, it would be hard to go No, I'm going to hold it for a little
$5 million. Did you say no to $5 million in your bank account? Yeah, so essentially the company closed. He was like running a national silver company. There was their great grandfather, I think, who originally bought the card. He was a collector of cards when he was a kid, and he held on to them. And this company folded. He had all these framed cards around his decorated businesses, and they just were essentially moved to a warehouse. And then he passed away. And they went down the chain of offspring, and it was these Dennis and Douglas, who I think were two brothers, and it was their great-grandfathers, and they were like, here you go, this is now yours, and it just came into their possession. And they were like, excuse me, what? And so, they took it on the show, ended up selling it for $5 million. Do you have anything – what's the most significantly in terms of valuation piece of sports memorabilia that you own?
I have no idea. I don't have anything.
Nothing that's cool that would fetch any money?
No.
I'm trying to think. I was reading this story this week, and I'm like, I wonder if I got old boxes of cards, and I can't wait for Teddy to start collecting cards. I'm hoping he's into it. My nephew's super into it, which is a lot of fun because then at Christmas, the gift idea is so easy. You just give him a box of NFL cards, and he's psyched, and that's all he wants to do is open up packs. So I'm hoping that happens to me down the road.
No, I don't think I have anything that's like,
I have things that are valuable, but not to that level.
Yeah.
We had a friend of the show once, probably the coolest one that I own, and I've been meaning to buy a frame for it because I'm trying to frame. I love framing magazine covers, and I got a Blazers final one from '92 in my man cave. It was Jordan and Drexler or 90 whatever finals that was 90. So that Sports Illustrated cover, Clyde versus MJ. I got a Duck one from the first year Chip Kelly was head coach. They were on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Masoli on the cover. I got that. I got one of a Niners Super Bowl win, and then I got the Harrington Ken Simonton Civil War cover. But we had a friend of the show recently, maybe a year or two ago. He gave me a Sports Illustrated from Bill Walton's time at UCLA.
Oh, wow.
So him in a UCLA uniform, probably after one of their championships, signed by Bill Walton.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I've been meaning to order a frame for that boy.
Yeah.
Get it up on the wall. That needs to go up. I got a few more magazines that need to get hung up. I don't know if that would be the most valuable, but now with the local connection, it's probably the cool. Like I got random stuff. Like I have a Magic Johnson autographed basketball, but that's not fetching much.
I have a Fernando autographed baseball.
Right. So you got cool stuff that means something to you. But nonetheless, $5 million, man. Whew. You imagine just, hey, by the way, your grandfather passed away. He's got these things in a storage, a U-Haul storage over here.
Okay, Teddy can go to college.
We're set. All right. We're going to be good. Yeah, I would sell this thing in a heartbeat. You kidding me? What am I going to do with a card on the wall? $5 million? Invest that bad boy? Still really cool. And 1909, one of the first cards ever made. People don't know exactly why he decided to pull his name from the cards being made, but the theories are essentially that he didn't like tobacco companies hawking products to kids. He's like, nah, dude, we're not doing this. And some random family out there made $5 million on a Honus Wagner card. It's the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia you own. Anything coming close to $5 million? Let us know. We're back after this, but first, here's us with a update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, in case you missed it over a busy sports weekend, spring training has begun for the major leagues. Today at noon, the Mariners take on the Dodgers down at Camelback Ranch. If you've got MLB.TV, you can see it, but the MLB Network will replay it at 5 o'clock this evening. So the Dodgers 2-0, the Mariners 2-1. Logan Gilbert going to take the mound today for you M fans. Landon Knack for my Dodgers.
There you go. Want to make sure to give them their light because it will get overshadowed a little bit in the aftermath of the men's team winning. I talked about the ratings and the boost that hockey has received. So the women won the gold. Remember, they won on a golden goal as well in overtime against Canada. Now, they've won gold a few times here or there recently. Better overall team. They averaged for that game. Now, it's a better time window. It was on the USA Network and Peacock. The game averaged $5.3 million. It peaked at almost $8 million, and that is the most watched women's hockey game on record. So shout out to the ladies who did it and the men who followed up.
There you go. More spring training and Olympic hockey stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the Fan
stuff this weekend?
I did. I caught that.
Did you catch that on
Yeah, just
last
before
night?
I had to go do husbandly duties, I caught that at halftime.
Now, we were retiring. Did he get a statue?
No, he got a statue.
Statue out front of the Staples
Out
Center?
in
Is that what
front
it
of the
was?
Staples Center.
So Pat Riley was there. He did have a funny line because a lot of his former players were in attendance.
Yeah, a lot of the Showtime Lakers were there.
And he had a funny. I think James Worthy was the only one wearing a suit, and he was like,
He's the only one wearing a tie.
A tie, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And he had a line about you won't get fined. Everybody else is getting fined.
Norm
and running
Nixon
laps.
looks great, by the way.
Some people age really well. Isn't it funny when you see him and you're like,
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Worthy's
since I've seen
done
him.
pretty good.
Let
But
me ask-
Norm Nixon looked fantastic.
So he had a take. He was doing the media rounds, and obviously, I mean, his run in L.A. You know more about it than I do because you were alive to watch all of it and what they meant for
I
the
can't
NBA.
tell you how many first-round series here in Portland when they Lakers were the 1 seed and
Here
the
comes
Blazers
Pat
went
Riley.
40 and 42 when they were the 8 seed. And came in here and just ran it. That was I think it was best of 5 then.
So you just 3-0,
3-0, 3-1 series.
Over.
Never really in it.
He is. I mean, that's one of the most
Those
iconic
Showtime Lakers
moments
were
of the
amazing.
NBA, right? Maybe the most important moment outside of Jordan in the NBA was Lakers and Celtics in the
Yeah.
80s and the Showtime Lakers and everything.
Would they meet
met.
like 6 or 7 times over the decade for the finals?
I believe so.
The Rockets snuck in there. The
Rockets got a random one.
Well, they didn't win, but they
or
got in the
to one.
finals.
And then the Pistons in the back.
The Pistons at
end
the
of
back
decade.
end, and the Sixers won it in '83.
So from starting in 1980, you had the Lakers over the Sixers.
Yep.
I think that was Magic's rookie year, if I'm
That
not
was
wrong,
the
right?
Magic rookie year, the Skyhook.
You had the Celtics beat the Rockets in 81.
Yep, that was Ralph Sampson.
Lakers won again in 82. They beat the 76ers again.
Yep.
Then it was the Sixers back beating the Lakers in 83.
Swept them. That team was
They did.
ridiculous.
Then it was Celtics
Then we
Lakers.
went, yeah.
Celtics Lakers, Celtics Rockets, Celtics Lakers until Lakers beat the Pistons in 88 before the
Yeah.
Pistons got them back in 89 and then beat
so they
us in
didn't
1990.
meet as many
So they
times
played
as I thought.
1, 2,
There was 4.
3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 of them in there. But it was funny reading some of the stuff yesterday because obviously it's always unique when you have somebody who works for another organization then flying out to, like, he's still part of the Heat, obviously, and everything he's done there. But they're building a statue for him, and he said one of
It's a good-looking statue, too. Whoever
It's a
did that
good-looking
statue,
They did
it's
not screw it
better than a lot of them we've seen.
He is one of his big arguments from the weekend was that one of the things he thinks the NBA struggles with is that we don't take coaches seriously anymore because they don't wear suits, and he wants them to wear suits again on the sideline. Where's Swigart at on the no suit gate of
I
NBA
think in
coaches?
the NBA, because NBA games are such a
show,
yeah.
like
a concert, sort of vibe.
I mean, it's like the starting lineup, like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals for every game, and there's smoke coming out, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's Game 38
Like
against
in
the
hockey,
Pacers.
they still wear suits back there.
They do?
You haven't seen them go to that. And
Isn't that funny how in some sports it's gone
college,
away?
it's different. College, I don't mind it as much.
Hockey, it'll never. I feel like it'll never. I can
There
text
is
Gus,
this
but
weird dichotomy between the formality of hockey and then the utter brutalness of hockey. And that's why you
Yeah.
love it. Because I love I love hockey, the old time opera-like guy doing the national anthem, as opposed to more modern or
Sure.
pop stars or rock stars or whatever. No, I want.
when you get the one guy who does it every game,
And
like you
a
get those
lot
in
of the
some
teams
markets,
now
yeah.
have a regular. That you're seeing that because the Bruins had that one guy forever that came out in the tux and he gave the fist pumps.
Always, I think
it was great.
Chicago's done that forever with their. He
Yep.
came out. They brought their opera anthem singer out for their Bears playoff game
Yeah.
when the Bears were in the playoffs.
Kraken have a great guy.
Yeah,
He's awesome. And so yeah, there's this, this different
they'll
sort
never
of,
go away. Imagine seeing somebody in like a quarter zip behind. It just the trainers will wear that. Like if you're an athletic
Yeah.
trainer, that's fine. Or equipment guys will wear that.
That's fine. They
But
gotta
if you're a coach.
work.
You're suited and booted, dude.
But yeah, if you're doing that,
Does any NBA coach wear a suit anymore?
I don't know.
Because you'll get it in college where some guys will still dress nicely.
Yeah, Mick Cronin does.
Mick Cronin's wearing a three-piece suit.
Patino picks and chooses.
Yeah, him in the white suit back in the day at Louisville.
Oh,
What a
yeah.
moment. What an iconic
Yeah.
photo.
So
But I just struggled reading this of like, that's such a fuddy-duddy take, but also like, yeah, you know what? I'm not that mad about it.
exactly.
Like it would bring a little bit more respectability back instead of having joggers and a quarter zip on the sideline.
But yeah, in the NBA, I think it's It just there's certainly a big time, a Showtime aspect to it.
Well, I mean, this is from the head coach of the Showtime Lakers, man.
Yep.
Showtime Lakers. That's what they were. It's the greatest show on the court. Let's go, baby. Put your suit on. That was kind of cool in the NBA over the weekend. That happened. One other jarring thing from the weekend that we did not talk about yet, and I'm wondering if it changes the way we view it. So I wasn't glued to it a ton, but on Saturday night, why do we get random non-conference games in college hoops this late in the year?
That was a very unique thing, and
Edward Jones Capital Showcase.
Yeah, I don't know what brought it about. I don't know
Edward
who
Jones,
organized it, who paid up, but if we can get more of those,
dude, it was great. Duke played Michigan on Saturday night. It's number
now,
1.
I mean, that game was on the books for a long time, so who knew they were going to be 1-3?
Right. Valid.
But still.
You had on Saturday the top 4 teams in the country all played each other.
Yeah, and it was disappointment with the Arizona-Houston game because of Toppin being out with the knee injury for Houston.
Not quite the same without
Not
him.
quite the same. But you had that, and then you had Iowa State and
BYU were playing.
Yeah,
DeBanza had almost a triple-double and knocked off the top 6 team in the country. It's a good day of hoops.
College basketball needs to go reinvent how it puts its regular season schedule together. If they want to put more juice back into the game overall.
Start with conference games and end with this
I would
stuff,
love
dude.
to have now it's a problem with the super conferences because you don't have if we could, I don't know if we'll ever be able to go back because if you had 10 or 12 team conferences where you could play almost a true round robin, you play everybody once kind of in November, and then over the course of, because I think the minor bowl games are going to go away eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there.
You see more of the high-profile teams pulling out if they're not in the playoff, if the playoff expands, all that sort of stuff. So to fill the gap of inventory that ESPN will have, let's have our big non-conference games from the middle of December till, just after the new year. You can have your tournament, your MTE tournament things there. Shift everything more into the December and holiday Christmas time sort of thing, and then pick up the second half of your conference schedule down the stretch.
Afterwards, yeah.
I think that might help get a little juice. So when it starts, Duke and North Carolina are playing the opening week. Let's
right
go.
Out of the gate, get you more into it a little bit.
Yeah,
it was jarring to see Michigan, a team who I have seen score it feels like 120 points a couple of times this year, struggled to get to 63, and it did. Yeah. They blew a lead, not a blown lead. They struggled offensively the entire night.
It was a tight game.
Could not shoot, and Boozer controlled it. I want to say he scored the last 10, 15 of the game for Duke. Like, he was outstanding.
Like, if you're an NBA team, you're looking at this draft. Because all of a sudden,
we picked a hell of a year to stop tanking.
The Peterson situation is weird at Kansas.
Yes, it is.
DeBanza is an athletic freak, but he can't shoot consistent jump shots. How does that play in the modern NBA?
Mm-hmm.
Like Boozer, you know what you're going to get. Like
he's a big dude. Yeah, he's got.
If you have the third pick, like, you don't really have to do much. It's like, all right, one of those 3 guys, whoever it is at the number 3 pick.
Whoever falls, we're happy with.
We're great.
Yeah, we're going to be doing fantastic. So a fun weekend of college hoops, too. Not lost in the shuffle here. Michigan struggling offensively. They were everybody's title pick because they've been blowing everybody out. That didn't happen on Saturday, so we'll see how that impacts them down the road. Let's wrap it up on a Monday, and our guy Patrick Harris is going to pop in a little crosstalk. We get ready for the Firm Harrison Meringue, get his thoughts on the weekend and what's coming up on their show. We'll have some fun with Patty Football next on The Fan. Good text to the fan text line. Gundy piping in the bird sound. Sounds like the Masters fill my hole. Amen, Gundy. He was piping in bird sounds. Is Patrick Harris a Jimmy Buffett guy?
Holy catfish! You're right, I am.
Yeah, big Jimmy Buffett guy?
Not a big Jimmy Buffett guy.
Okay, but
not a big one.
Okay, we're an average Jimmy Buffett guy.
You're not a parrot head?
I am not a parrot head.
Not a pirate?
I do
I'm
not.
just short of a parrot head. I've seen him a few times in concert. It's just a party. It's so much fun.
I don't subscribe to the Sirius XM channel Margaritaville. That is Jimmy Buffett 24/7.
Whenever I never bought radio because that's always been a weird concept to me.
Sure.
Because it's free. It's available right here.
Hey.
Listen to us all day. We got great live local content all day. Whenever I did, because sometimes you'd like get a new car, you get a rental or something, it'd come with access to it.
Sure.
It was always the first station I went to.
Yeah.
Always, dude.
On Pandora's Jimmy Buffett channel, they do play a lot of Zach Brown Band.
Hey.
They do a lot of crossovers on that. So it's like 90% Jimmy
So
Buffett.
you get that. You get some Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good combo right there.
That's a great combo.
I was at the Gorge Amphitheater at a Dave Matthews show.
Of course.
Of course I was. And that night, we woke up the next morning. I think it was like night 2. We woke up the next morning and found out Jimmy Buffett had died.
Oh.
And so you're sitting around the camp and the bevies start flowing, the herbs starts rolling, and we go to the show, and Dave is old buddies with Jimmy Buffett. They opened with A Pirate Looks at 40.
Dude, that is one of my favorite songs of all time.
And everybody was just so stoked.
Well, because he did it
party.
with Tim McGraw and Jack Johnson. There's one that plays a lot.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A cover of it with all three of them together.
It's great.
It's talk about places to be when something big in the music world happens. That's pretty high on the list. It's got to be. At a Gorge Amphitheater.
Yeah.
You're in a music setting. Everybody there loves music because you're going out of your way and you're parking, you're hoofing and all that. And so,
and that's
top of the list.
And who doesn't like Jimmy? Like, if you're like, I think he's a jerk. I hate him.
There's some uber snooty music people who he wasn't much of a musician. Well,
it's like saying the Grateful Dead just jams. Like, yeah, there's also an art form that's involved in that, and they got a lot of fans. So why don't you sit down and shut up?
Jimmy Buffett's one of the best storytellers of all time.
I am better at playing the harmonica than Bob Dylan. That does not make me better than Bob Dylan. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
Yes.
I can whistle better than John Lennon, but I am not better than John Lennon. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay.
I'm with you on that. How was the weekend, Patrick Harris? What did we do? Anything fun?
I had an excellent weekend. Obviously, Timbers game on Saturday was fantastic.
Yeah. How was the first game of the year?
Atmosphere was fantastic.
Was it full?
Full place. Full. Fireworks show before the game, which was really great.
Brother.
So that's a lot of fun. Brandon Bye got a yellow card in the 29th, I believe, but the stadium PA announcer, like Swag, you'd have rolled in your grave, said that Diego Chara got the yellow card. That was incorrect, but when he said Diego Chara got the yellow card, the whole place erupted.
Yeah,
because Chara would have tied the all-time yellow card.
I thought he got one late in the game.
Did he? I don't think he did. Because everybody was so excited because he was going to tie the record for most with Kyle Beckerman.
Is that like a big accomplishment? Like,
no, it's terrible.
Yeah,
that's like Rashid leading the league
technical
in technicals.
Fouls.
Yeah, like, do you know the all-time interception leader in quarterback history in the NFL?
Are interceptions and yellow cards the same though? That'd be like own goals. Are they the same?
Kind of.
Red
but
cards.
It's kind
I feel
of
like
funny that he if you looked at Beckerman. He's big for a soccer player.
I hate him so much.
And he had just the worst dreadlocks of any
white going right over
white dreadlocks.
White guy dreads.
Oh yeah,
white guy dreads.
He was a regular for the U.S. national team for a while,
especially when they were really bad.
But Chara is 5'4", $125, and he of all people has the MLS career lead for yellow cards. That's pretty funny.
That's fantastic.
But it was great. Yeah, sitting up in the media box with I sat with Tyson Alger and Bill Oram.
Look at you rubbing elbows
with the fancies, free food up there, etc. It was a great.
They still
time.
got the good media buffet spread.
The spread was solid. It was cheesesteaks.
When I wasn't
quite into it.
Yeah.
But
when I was
still
going,
solid.
it was the best media food spread in the state of Oregon.
I was a little.
They took care of their media.
I was a little sad. The coffee was a little watered down.
Oh, come on, Timbers.
Bill looks at me, he goes, "Well, then go get more."
Yeah, double it up. Fine, Bill. All right.
This Coors Light's not getting me drunk, and I will get another one.
Fine, I'll drink 8 of them. Damn it, if that's what I got to do. Look, whenever you see a good spread, a media spread, it's a very insider thing to complain about. But, sometimes they're not great, and it's a big bummer.
Yeah.
And when you see a good one and it lives up to the hype, there's not many things that top that. I'm here to cover, and it's good
done
food.
Real well with the media spread up there.
Yeah, and I got to watch some college basketball this weekend. Saw number 1 and number 2 go down. I was very impressed with Shire and Duke's performance against Michigan. I did not expect them to be that efficient against them.
That's going to get Boozer's name more
Are
chatted
we,
about as the
big
number
time.
1 overall pick.
We excited to stay at A. We excited to go hang
Dude,
out.
I am so stoked.
You want to share a room? You want to go bunksies? Top bunk, little bunk?
I mean, I live 11 minutes away, but sure, Dirt. I'll big spoon
I'll
you.
come crash at your house. You want to be big spoon, little spoon? You want to go do that? Let's go.
I am very, very excited about that. I also got lucky. I recorded the USA hockey game, and I woke up at 7:30 and watched it with no spoilers.
Really? You
Yes.
got all the way through?
I got all the way through.
Dude, credit to you, because if I'm not that big of a hockey guy, I'd like to think that I would do that. I'd also say, that got really loud for a while, and that was probably right around the end of the game. I want to say the game ended around 8, something like that.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, everyone in my house was asleep.
So everybody's still snoozing, you're
I
just like,
watched,
whatever,
I
dude.
watched on my phone with headphones on.
Dude, I'd watch on the TV with headphones on.
And then I was able to hit the fast forward 15
it's
seconds.
perfect, yeah.
Oh, dude, I think I watched that game in an hour and a half.
Dude, catching up on games recorded is a really underrated thing. I love doing that sometimes.
I was scrolling through my timeline, and I don't really follow hockey, so I wasn't really worried about spoilers.
It's not in your algorithm.
It's not in my
your
algorithm.
following list. Yeah.
And then it goes, and I see this glimpse, and it says Canada, USA, and I could see that it's about to show me a video of hockey, and I flipped it real quick to get out of it, and I swear I thought I saw it say Canada 2, America 1.
Oh.
So in
Then
the
you're in
third,
your head, you're like, uh-oh.
In the third period, when Canada's on that power play, after Hughes comes back into the game,
Yes.
I'm thinking, oh my God, this is how we lose. We lose late in the third, 2-1 to Canada.
What a heartbreak, dude.
Then it goes to overtime. I'm like, even worse. Now you're going to tell me we're going to
Not
lose
again?
2-1 and 3-on-3?
Just like in 2010? Come on, man.
And then Hughes scored that goal, and I was like, suck it, algorithm. You don't know me.
Well, happy Monday, Harris. I always
to you,
love
buddy.
chatting with you. What do you guys got coming up on the show today? Anything fun? You going to do 4 hours of hockey talk? Do I got that to look forward to on my drive home?
Dude, nobody's got the bones like you do, buddy. Blazers,
It helps
Olympics.
my co-host is out, and I love hockey.
Blazers, Olympics.
Okay.
Timbers.
Yeah,
It's an
opener.
easy It's so fun that it's a non-football Monday, and we're like, I'm good.
World's your oyster, dude.
I got everything to get through today.
You got a lot to talk about,
Now
man.
tomorrow,
That's true. Sprague, you get your ass into work tomorrow.
yeah,
okay?
you're gonna have to show
Sprague,
up, buddy.
Get your ass here now. Damn it. Have a great show, buddy.
Thank you.
Happy weekend, everybody. Thanks for being a part of our Monday. If you missed the show, go check the podcast. 1051thefan.com, 1051thefan on Twitter, at Dirt and Sprague on Twitter. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. You can watch our show. You can watch these guys, the Firm Harris and Meringue, the Happy Hour, Primetime, all of them live on YouTube all day long. So go subscribe to the channel. We will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. The Firm Harris and Meringue is next. Listen to 1051 FM The Fan.